Oster and Ronald. It's early in the evening by the time you leave Harold Dolver's prickly company, walking across the yard towards the sept in search of Sir Walton. You feel the night breeze carrying the distant sounds of the waves of Iron Man's Bay. A great candle must be lit behind the stained glass windows of the seven-pointed star that sits above the arched crenellations of the sept of Deepin Hall. It gives off a prismed rainbow hue. In the clear sky above, more stars hang bright and glittering. As you approach, you can smell 7 types of incense burning and hear the shuffling of feet as a white-haired, wizened old man bearing a lantern comes to greet you. The opening doors. Well met, my lords. I am Septon Arden, and you are welcome here in sight of the Seven. Please, come in. If there's anything you seek, perhaps the gods can guide you to it. And he'll open the way and gesture that you might enter.
Yeah, I step aside for Ronald to enter this house of worship before me.
Yeah, he'll do so, bowing politely and then doing the necessary genuflect.
Yeah, stepping in with the man, he'll move in alongside you and gesture down a hallway which widens out at the end. You can see there's many candles in there flickering, throwing lights up, and great shadows from the 7 statues inside. The Hall of Faces is this way, my lord. May I be of service?
I'm a little lost. The Hall of Faces.
The last session, you guys, the Hall of the Gods. The last session, you had gone to the Sept seeking out Sir Walton Dolver.
Sorry, I'm mistaking Hall of Faces with Faceless Men. And I was like, did we go to Bravos? Okay, yes. And he's here, or this is Septon?
This is the Septon. Okay. Septon Arlen, he introduced himself as.
We're seeking the Lord's son. Is he here?
This way, my lord. He's praying to the crone. And he'll shuffle along just behind you, beside you, past a warrior and a maiden. And inside of the father, he'll turn to his left, the father's right, and you can see beyond in an alcove at the foot of a statue of the crone with her lantern held high. There's a man in black and copper tabardry kneeling, praying, and the Septon will then step back once he's shown you where the knight is.
I'll nod my head to him and thank him, and I guess maybe catch at one of the candles lit by one of the shrines as I walk past, and then sort of stand near, but not so near that it's uncomfortable or would disturb him, to Lord Dolver. Or is it Sir? It's both, right?
Yeah, Sir Walton. He's the heir of the Lord.
Yeah.
As the sept turns to leave, I say, how long does the Lord's son stay in prayer? We do not wish to disturb him during this moment, though our issues are pressing.
It depends upon your need, my lord. You must make that decision for yourself. If you have something my lord must hear, then speak it. If not, hold your tongue, sir.
Yeah, I look to Ronald for which way is forward, not being uncomfortable in this place.
You must forgive Sir Walton. He and his father are at odds, not speaking currently. He means no disrespect to you, I am sure, that he did not attend at his father's hall your reception.
There's none taken. I have met Sir Walton before. He's a goodly man, I'm aware. Thank you for your help.
He senses that he's being dismissed, so he'll move away to some other duty.
Yeah, and then I'll just sort of take 1 or 2 steps, but deliberately scuff my feet on the stone floor a little bit, so he knows we're here.
Yeah, so Walton will like stop at his prayers and turn around. He'd heard on the extent of his hearing, like the two of you, like you and the Septon speaking. But with the footsteps approaching, he like utters last muffles a couple of words and then turns, and his face changes to what he'd expected. He's, my lord Grail, and he'll quickly rise from his posture and stand upright and move forward towards you and reach out a hand. And he'll say the same as the Septon before him. I meant you no disrespect, my lord. And he goes to explain.
Yeah, I'll take his hand and shake it. No, of course. I understand entirely. Might we have a word? We don't mean to disturb you.
Yes, for certes, you cannot vex me further than mine own lord father, sir. And I'll be glad. The gods are mute, despite my prayers. Arlen says their answers will come. Let us walk, and he'll take a step towards you, or past you, I should say, after relaxing the handshake, and then see Ostra as well, and give him a nod. Where should we walk, my lord?
Well, it's lashing rain outside. Wherever you think. It's your castle. Anything pleasant to show?
He'll look across to where Arlen is, and he'll say, "Follow me," and he'll make his way up, away from like the Hall of the Seven and up to like the Septon's quarters, which would have once housed more people than it currently does. There's just ghosts in the beds now. As you like walk past them, and he'll take up a torch and pull down a trapdoor, and like a stair, like a wooden stair ladder, will descend, and he'll bid you follow him up, following the flame until you're up amongst the bells. There's 7 small bells here, all on a rod that hang, and a great corded rope that's hung down to the nave below. The Septons will ring this in times of holy days and in times of trouble. But for now, they just sit like great stone hanged men. And he'll walk amongst them around the wooden outskirts and stare over down the precarious, not from the precarious, but from like the dizzying height at the top of the sept here, above the rainbow hue, and looking out into the night, and the stars and the rain.
Well chosen. It's nice here.
It is. They say that first men who were here had built a tower to watch for the coming of iron men to the north and Andals to the south. And when the Andals came, they tore it down, and from the stones they built this sept. Septon Arlen says that it is the smith that guided their hands, that it was not destruction, but a great endeavor.
Almost everything was something else once, I suppose. There have been many, many ages before this one.
He'll turn to you, his face going from one of solemnity to more seriousness, and he'll say, "Pray forgive my blunt speech, my lord, but why are you here? You have come with 100 armed men, and I do not take you for a lover of mercantile matters."
No, though my brother here can be such a lover at times. We were surprised to find out when we came here to try and acquire the necessary iron, that there's a distaste that your father has for a Westerland's house.
House Grella, my lord.
That's great.
Girds himself for war against them. His senselessness knows no reason. Will not allow the crone's lantern light to shine upon him. And he blasphemes. He has grown wroth in his old age.
It would be illegal warfare.
Not if he has the right of it. Grell is at fault, though I doubt the king will care for this matter and may strike off both their heads. Perhaps then my father might learn some sense, and then he'll finger at the 7-pointed star hanging around his neck and shake his head and says, "That was not well said of me."
There must be some way to find an amicable arrangement.
Maester Falston has sent ravens, many, and they are ignored or returned with insult. I pray to the gods, but they are mute and blind upon this matter. And Septon Arlen, once my father held him in good counsel, but in his old age he has forgotten that he is anointed by the 7 oils, and that he is made a lord by the crystal light, and only by the will of the Father. He has forgotten. I pray for his soul.
And there are a great many who forget that. He'll say, meaning himself, but not saying it so directly. I find myself wanting to help. Is there some way that I could do that? Could I speak with the Grells? Would I have your permission to do that?
You don't need my permission to do that, my lord. Perhaps you might succeed where our maester has failed.
Your blessing, then.
Of course. Oh, of course you have my blessing, sir. I know you to be an honourable knight. And when he says that, I imagine there's a little bit of a pain or a whisper in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely feels that this guy is an honourable knight, and like the picture of an actual knight, pious and honest and just and like self-chiding when he has a negative thought. And Ronald is not that, and has never been that. He's a good knight because he's good at fighting, and he's good at jousting, but he's not very chivalrous. And so he'll sort of feel that for a moment, and I think the reason he likes this guy is because he is the picture of a knight. I have a good impression of you. You were the picture of chivalry at the tourney. So many of the others that I bested were not so gracious.
What better gift can the gods give a man than to be taught a lesson? Knowledge is our life's quest. We must be thankful for that, not scornful, lest we stay as children.
The master of arms who taught me always said that every blow to the side of your head is a vital lesson that you will remember better. And there is wisdom in defeat.
Lessons better learned when one is young, before one can command hundreds of men, and you can sense him speaking of his father indirectly. Like he thinks, it seems he thinks his father might be able to best Grell in some fight, but he doesn't think it will stay as a fight between the two of them.
No. Well, I believe that it's in the interest of the realm and of the 7 to maintain peace as best that we can. And so I will speak with the Grells and see if I can find some compromise, some way that this can be smoothed over.
I would be thankful for it, sir, and I would be in your debt. I do not want my father's last year to be one spent blood-soaked, but better hail and to watch his children thrive.
I agree. An old man can have bitternesses and grudges that are hard to remove. And I don't know that I'll be able to get the Grells to apologize, but I might be able to find some sort of amicable terms.
It doesn't make sense. Septon Arlen says he has met the Lord Damon Grell twice in his youth. He says he was impetuous and headstrong, but always a good-hearted, thoughtful man, or young man. He could have changed so much in such short time.
There will be someone there, I am certain, whispering in his ear. Whether it is a wife or a maester or some relative, someone will be influencing him
Sir, we have heard the slight from your father, and by his telling, it seems we do have the right of it. But perhaps you could tell us in your own words, how have the Grells wronged you?
There were grievances in the past over matters of money and of debts when our houses still traded with each other. And since then, the Lord Grell has accused my father of such treachery as to dishonor him. So my father has sought satisfaction, as is right. He's been refused and sent further insult. At my begging request, 3 weeks back, he sent a raven trying to make peace with the young Lord Damon, and he was most viciously scorned back. And since then, we have spoke little and less. The insults are of accusations, of brigandry, of provocations, of undermining. My father has many things, but he is not that, and I will stake my sword and my soul upon it. He grabs at his dagger at his belt.
But there is no specific grievance beyond dislike? Insults
It started as dislike and now has led to this.
These things can fester. Well, I am no maester, but my brother here has studied some of that trade, and maybe he is able to lance this boil that has festered.
For the good of our folk, of Westermen and Rivermen, let it be so.
Do you believe if Lord Damon paid his debts, that your father would cool his anger?
The debts are well paid. My father forgets that. And to be certain, I'm sure there were many men whose debts were left outstanding after the Battle of the Trident.
Yeah, I like blowout air. Just putting, weighing the difficulty of this task. I look to Ronald.
What's your feeling on it? If you were Lord, would you put it aside?
No, I would ride to Castle Grell myself and speak with Damon and see if we might seek a reason between us. I would take Septon Arlen and beseech him to meet me with his own Septon or Septo's council. Surely the gods did not make allies of us just that we might wish to be at each other's throats.
No, they do not wish that.
My father holds me in disfavor. He has landed my younger brother to scorn me and make me learn my place when I speak against him. I have no great trappings or host that I might order to come with me as you do, my lord. And until such time as I've regained my father's favor, I have no noise at court.
I understand. It's a shame because you are the reasonable one, it seems. Where is your younger brother?
Horace, he rules a stone house in a small swath of land upon the coast, northwest of here, the western edges of our lands. He is young, but he gives good effort. It is not his fault, but the gods and nature if his crops fail thrice. They call him Black Thumb, though the name is ill-earned. He was a goodly squire, but I think he is perhaps a touch of greed, as we all of us men do.
Yeah, it's every man's curse.
Aye. But But I do love my brother, as I love my father. I'll pray for the both of them.
Well, maybe you could pray for our success as well.
I shall light all 7 candles for all 7 prayers.
Good. And he'll extend his hand to shake it again.
I hear you are to leave at dawn.
Aye.
Father would not like it were I to come and wish you off, but I will say so now. I will pray for your endeavour, sir, and look to see you at the Deepin Hall again, as friends we are and better friends with my father.
Very good.
Jez and Willem, you've spent the last 3-day tracking in the crags at the eastern extent of the Riverlands, called mountains by the Rivermen, but small hills to the Moonmen and Valemen who lay further east of here, and their greater, stonier fortresses up high. You've been waiting all day. Sir Mather was certain that it would rain, and as evening begins to fall, a light rain falls in. No wind to it, no real gusto, but it's enough to deaden the sounds of your leather boots as they crunch along gravel or stone or cling to roots as you begin to descend upon the Moonmen's camp. There's 5 of them by the scouts' count. One of them is spotted to have a bow and bear a horn, and it's that one that Sir Mather wants taken down first and the rest to be set upon. He wants 1 or 2 to question. And after some brief conspiration in the light downpour, you began your final ascent. And now the foe grows close. You can see one of them has a small cold fire that he sits by, a spear stuck in the ground nearby him, third coat pulled up, cowling his face, dark black plaits jutting out of either side of his paled skin of his neck. And the watcher who has the horn and the bow strung to their back moves back and forth at the crag, looking down to the southeast. No speech passes between them, though there are occasional looks, and they seem folk who know each other well. Inside a ragged hide throwover, 2 of them sleep, while another is walking back from making his water, fumbling at the front of his what serves these folk as breeches. This man has a chain coif that is obviously not a mountain man make, and a thin circlet of black iron that sits loosely at like a diagonal across the top of his head. His split lips and a forky black beard and a higher voice than you'd expect for a man of his height. And he mutters something unintelligible to the man by the fire, who says something back as he makes his way towards the lean-to. And Sir Mather's pressed across a rock, will reach at his back and draw an arrow, and then look to you, Jess, and mouth, "Now." And he'll turn and let fly at the watcher, and you guys can roll initiative.
Yes. An ambush in the rain in the mountains is always a fine thing.
Yeah, it was 10. I put it in first.
Slow down next time.
Yeah, so Lloyd and Dan, you guys can play either Arwell of Joston or Harlech Waters. Harlech Waters is a middle-aged guardsman, one of the personal guards assigned to Willem back before the whole campaign into like House Pagelands began. And Arwell of Joston is one of Sir Mather Warren's older rangers.
Ooh, what do you want?
And they're both the you can use the warrior stats in the Iscloft dock, and they have 10 hit points.
Sick. Okay. I'd like to be the Elfla, Harlech Waters.
Sweet. I'll play the ranger.
Nice.
Okay, so Mathers fires at the Watcher, and an 18 on the die for the high will be a 24 to hit. He uses his Archer's Eye. 11. And the Watcher is Shadwick Horseborn. The arrow like thunks into his midsection. He cries out in pain, doubling over. And Mathers, like seeing that the shot hasn't worked, he's fumbling for another arrow to like let fly, and he's like hissing through his teeth, "Kill him!" To you, Jess. Kark, son of Goros, who's sitting at the fire, sees an arrow sprout in the back of the Watcher, looks about and like sees at least Sir Mathers and like the flurry of movement there, and will grab the stone axe next to him and like kick up cinders as he rushes across the fire. And he'll use his hostile feature to use a bonus action to move, and he'll rush up into the face of Sir Mather Warren, and then at the last minute see you as well, Jess, and he'll strike out once each of both of you. So Mathers Warren, it's a 13 all up, which will miss, and then at you, Jess, is a 16 to hit.
Yep, 16 AC.
Okay, a stone axe is going to be 5 slashing damage. You like reel back, and so it just manages to like rip at your fur and chain at your shoulder and score crimson, but not a great wound. You feel the strength in the man and smell his reek. Arwell of Joston, one of the older rangers under Mather Warren's command. You're on the other side of the Mountain Man sentry camp, and he would be armed with a short bow and like a long knife or dirk.
Can I use the hunter stats, or would even more?
Sure.
Okay,
Even
sweet.
better.
Yeah, he'll move. He'll try to move through the foliage and get a position where he can be hidden to attack. I don't know if you can do that. Can I make a stealth roll to move unseen?
Yep.
All right, so that will be a 10.
No, he spies you. Like maybe he hears rocks shifting that betray you, and they'll say, "There's more!" And there's movement inside the hide tent now.
He'll just take cover then.
Yeah, you can do so easily enough. Jess, in front of you, there is a man wearing reeking pelts who has a stone axe that he's swiping at both you and Sir Mather. And then behind him, 15, 20 feet or so, there is the Watcher who bears a horn with arrows spreaded in his back. What do you do?
Yeah. She's hyper focused on the Watcher. She tried, I think she was struck by the charging man's axe because she was focusing in on that mark and tried to fire off her arrow and not, before, instead of having to take evasive maneuvers, basically. So she's very aware of the strike she just took and of the man with the axe right in front of her, but she's trying to take out the Watcher. That's the target. So I pre-rolled with 27 to hit, and it'll be 12 damage.
Yeah, this arrow takes him through the throat as he brings the horn up to his lips, and like a split apple, blood sprays out his mouth and nose, and he shudders on the stone, perilously close to the edge of a drop, and he's slain.
And so that was, I used my bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark on him. That was the hyper focus, and so now as a free action, that will shift to the axe man right in front of her.
Okay, Willem.
Yeah, I'm going to stand up and bring my greatsword down upon this one that's struck at Jess for 21 to hit.
Oh yeah.
9 damage.
Yeah, he looks down at where you like slashed him and just gives like a mean tombstone filled mouth, cutting him lightly, but doesn't worry him over much.
Yeah, I'll just stay there engaged with him.
At that, an older spear tall woman, thin and wiry, sprouts out of the tent, short spear in hand, and she'll rush forward and jump onto your back, Willem. Like literally, and then put her legs around your front and bring the short spear up and try and drive it down to where your neck meets your shoulder. For a crit.
Oof.
Do you would have helm on, I imagine? Or coif?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can absorb the crit effect, but not the damage.
Oh yeah, cool. That's like an Iskloft rule, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this will be 7 slashing damage.
Ouch.
Yeah, she reeks as well. Great, like sheep white, dirty white dreadlocks have sprouted out of her head as like her cowl's pulled free, and she's like bringing the spear up again, trying to like stab it down into the side of your neck, and clutching on at your back. After Shyla the maid, it's Harlech Waters.
Yeah, so old Harlech Waters will sort of start trudging forward with his billhook, and I'm going to try and get to whoever is in front of Willem and protect him. So to the woman, I guess, shouting, "My lord!" and rush to his side and swing for her. Definite miss on the first one, and a 15 for the second one.
15 hits, but you'll have advantage flanking her with Willem.
Oh, sick. Okay, so then that'll be the first one hit then, and the second is a crit. What did I roll?
Okay.
A crit.
Just because it's cool if you roll 2 crits on
Yeah,
advantage.
just in case. So it'll be 7 damage for the first.
This is to Shyla. Yep.
And 19 damage for the second for the crit.
26. Oh, we don't need to roll what the crit effect is. The billhook takes her in the back of the head and splits it, and she just releases her grip on Willem immediately and falls to the ground like a skewered animal. You've got to do the old boot on her back to pull the billhook out of her brain, and sap just drizzles out, goop.
I'll like put a hand on Willem's shoulder and say, "Are you all right, Lord?"
Yes. At this, another figure like comes out of the tent and sees, like that this is going ill, and she'll turn back into the tent, grab a bow, and continue a rush out of it and shoot at the closest Vale foe, which would be the back of Harlech now. And it will be a 17 to hit all up. And that will be 6 piercing damage.
To
back of the shoulder.
I have AC 18, my lord.
Oh, then it whizzes past you, and you turn and can see another wildling sprouted out of that tent. Well, not wildling. Well, I guess wildling. They're free folk, mountain folk. After Gwen, it goes to Sharlog, son of Sharlog. He like steps out of the tent. The last occupant, this huge man with like a bear head over the top of his head, and in his hand is a great black iron pike that's been bent and blunted. And he'll rush forward, wielding it kind of like a giant with a great blunted scythe. And he's going to try and thwack it down once onto Willem and then once onto you, Harlech. So it'll be a miss on Willem and 17 on the die against Harlech, so 20 to hit. And 6 bludgeoning damage to the leg of Harlech. And then after Sharlog, Shadwig is spewing blood on the ground, arrow shot with the neck. So it goes to Mathers.
That's more than half,
Sorry.
Nico. I don't know if I want to do system shocks.
No,
Okay.
no, not for NPCs, not for fellow NPCs. Mathers Warren will provoke an opportunity of attack from Kark, son of Goros, to step back and be able to use his bow. The strike is just a miss. Then Warren will shoot it in point blank in the midsection for a 15 on the die, which will hit for 7 + 2, 9 piercing damage. and Kark, son of Goros, like falls to a knee, blood spooling out of his over his cloak and through the pilfered black ringmail he wears. And he coughs wetly, nearly slain. It's his go next, and Mathers is further back now with his bow. Jess has moved away, so he'll turn and round on Willem and bring his stone axe up in two hands and try and split his head. 2 thwacks for a miss and a 19 on the die. Two-handed will be D8, so 3 plus 2, 5 bludgeoning damage. As like the sundered helm is like smashed free of your head now, and blood begins to like go down your forehead, obscuring your vision in one eye. The world spins up here at the heights, and then after Kark, it goes to Arwell of Jostin.
Yeah, Arwell spits out a mouthful of carrot root juice, a bitter root, but he's balled it into a cut into his mouth. He takes 2 breaths, 1 penny, 2 penny, half groat. He comes out from behind his cover and takes his aim. That's 17 on the dice, so 23. His target is Gwellen.
Okay.
And she'll take 7 points of piercing.
Ooh. Yep. Yeah, it wings her in the leg. She cries out in pain. And then we'll round on you, drawing an arrow for you.
He'll duck back behind his cover, hoping to avoid retaliation.
Jez.
It's all an instant and a blur at this culmination of this hunt. And just so I have it clear in my head, who was the axe wielder that struck her last turn?
That was Kark, son of Goros. You'd moved away from him to shoot at Shadwick, who you'd killed.
Okay, yeah, the Watcher. Yeah, cool. And so, her hunter's mark is currently on Kark. So as she moved away, and then turned her attention back onto Kark, he's still upright.
Yeah, but he's got 2 arrows in his chest and he's looking pretty badly wounded.
That's right. Yeah, we want to take him alive. So I think she'll maybe aim for his leg or something like that to try and take him out non-lethally. But we'll see how that goes because I did pre-roll as well, so it'll be a 24 to hit. Actually, because he's 12, 17. That's going to be 21 damage.
Oh man. Yeah, you shoot him through the thigh and he drops down, mewling. Shot through thrice now. Just like a bear brought down with spears.
Yeah. Shit. As she pulls out another arrow and reloads.
Willem.
Yeah, Willem, dazed from that blow, will strike at... is Kark still alive after that?
No, Kark's dying with, shot through the chest twice and through the leg once. He's out of the fight.
Okay, I'll look to the next foe, dazed.
Yeah, that was Shalog, son of Shalog, who bears a great bent black iron pike with a hook
Yes.
at the end of it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll try to strike at him, but it's only a 15.
Yeah, he catches it at the base of like the pike and drives it back. You stumble backwards narrowly, avoiding a fluke to the eye, but it's a miss.
Okay. I'll just reel
Shaela
there.
the maid. Shaela the maid was hewn down by Harlick Waters, so it's Harlick Waters' turn.
There's someone attacking Willem. So I will attack that person. I'm not sure who it is, Nico. Sorry, I think it's one of the big boys.
Shalog.
Shalog, yeah. So I will swing at him twice. Can I flank him?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll step to the side then, under his wild swings, and then swing wildly. And I definitely missed that one. Oh, advantage. So I will 18 on the die should hit.
Yep.
And a 10, which will miss, I think. 14 damage.
Ooh, nearly bloody him in one hit. Yeah, drive the billhook into his back. It roars like a bear, like the bear head that he wears.
Nice. And I'll just stay close to Willem's side, basically, and try and put myself between him and bad guys whenever possible.
Gwenel sees that that Kark, Shyla, and Shadwick are all slain, and she runs up, spry and nimbly over the rocks, unworried of like the fall she's exposed to, and then once she has like a ledge, she'll turn and draw an arrow, and look about, breathing hard and ready in action to fire an arrow if anyone looks to be pursuing her. And then it will go to Sharlog, roars in anger at that, and will reach out with one meaty hand to grab you, Harlech, and then try and drive Horse Ripper through your belly for a 17 to hit, but that misses. The hook catches on the chain and slides across it.
So the Axe Warrior has a two-handed weapon, so I can't be having a shield as well. So I think there's something wrong with the stat block. I think I should be at 16.
Oh yeah, if you've got the
Two-handed
bill
axe.
hook, that's a two-handed weapon. In that case, then it will be hits. Horse Ripper is a D10, and it will be 5 and 3 is 8
Yeah, that'll kill me.
piercing damage. He just drives Horse Ripper through the belly of Harwick, who screams blood.
Another veteran fallen.
And then as he lets like impaled Arlek like fall to the ground with that through him, he'll reach down and pick up the bill hook in one hand like it's a big cleaver, and then round on you, Willem. Shadwick finally shudders his last and dies. So Mather Warren clambers up around the side, draws an arrow, and lets it fly at the back of Sharlog's head. And it's a 16 on the die. It's going to be a hit. And it will be 7 piercing damage. It thunks into the back of his, like where his neck meets his shoulder, and in the chaos and rage, Sharlog barely feels it. And then it goes to Kark is slain, so Arwell of Joston.
Arwell will move out from behind cover. He'll whisper, "I don't think so, goat bitch," as he pulls the arrow up to his ear. But seeing now that Sharlog is overlooking the young Grail, he'll turn on Sharlog and shoot at him. 16 on the dice, so that's 22.
Oh, yep. Yeah, 16th is AC.
And he's in melee, right?
Yep.
That's sneak attack. So it will be 10 all up.
Describe the end of Sharlog, son of Sharlog.
Yeah, it just goes right through the back of his head, and it protrudes out his mouth, spraying whoever's in front of him with a shower of flecks of blood.
Mathers points up like a craggy ascent where the mountain woman is fleeing, and says to you, Jess, "She cannot escape. She'll give us away." That's your turn.
Yeah. She nods with an urgency, rushes off. But she would, be practiced in. She would basically be assuming that she'd be giving chase under the assumption that the mountain woman would be possibly, as soon as she was out of sight, perching with an arrow. And so she would try and make chase in a way that she could get through unseen. But obviously we're not in a forest, which is what she is most used to operating in. Would that be,
So give me,
make like a stealth or survival? Or
I think an opposed skill challenge with her, you need acrobatics, athletics, stealth, and survival.
Okay, excellent. Just in that order, or I can pick from them?
Just in that order is fine. You can do those 4, and instead of stealth, she'll roll perception to oppose you.
Okay, cool. So, and just total them all up?
Yep.
Awesome. Oof, not the biggest rolls.
25 is her total.
47.
So you rush after her, but trying to keep quiet where you can and keep to cover where you're able. She will get her one readied action at you. Do you wear a helm?
I don't think she would, no. Got a crit.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, no shield, no helm. So bring it on.
Dangerous. Okay. Roll a d20.
$11.
You shot through the arm. You'll suffer a -1 AC bonus until you've completed a long rest, which is 7 days, like is a week, is a long rest.
Yeah.
If you don't have a shield, you suffer a result. Oh, hang on, result of 9. So you gain 2 levels of bleeding. You must spend an
Holy
action
shit.
every 2 rounds to wipe the blood. Oh, hang on, that doesn't work. That's the wrong effect. Oh, I see. Okay, because you don't have a shield, it goes to 9 for the descriptor and the effect. So it actually shoots at your head and like opens up a flap of skin at your forehead, like peels it back, grinding along the skull, and so this curtain of blood comes down into your eyes, blinding you and giving you the bleeding condition. But since you beat her in the skill challenge, you're then able to ball through and tackle her to the ground, and her cowl will fall off, and like this raven black hair will spill out, and her long pale face, her eyes will go white as she eyes you with your one non-bloody eye that you can see through, and you like bear down on her with a knife in hand, and the bow is knocked out of her hand and her arms are spread.
Yeah. Don't you move, she says as she's got the blade at her throat, the blood from her forehead, from her face dripping down, maybe even down into the woman's eyes, as she tries to squint herself. Jess tries to squint herself and rub it with the back of her hand, trying not to lose the control that she's got here through the blood obscuring, and we see then from the bushes the cub of a shadow cat come over and have a sniff at the woman as she's pinned by Jess, and I imagine even though it's a very young one, I imagine the woman's eyes look very fearful.
Yeah, by the time Sir Mathers and Arwell of Joston clamber up behind you, the world's starting to spin and you feel nauseous from the blood loss, and your body certainly is relieved when the two of them like take over physical command of the prisoner, and you can like lean back against the rock to kind of get hold of the world to stop it spinning. You feel like weak and faint and sleepy all at once.
Yeah, she reaches a shaky hand out to the little sort of leather harness and handle that the shadow cub wears as she sort of swoons. Did you roll damage for that hit as well?
No, I didn't. You'll take bleeding damage as well.
Yeah.
So you'll take 6 bleeding damage, and you'll take 10 piercing for the crit.
Oof. It's all right. She's actually still up.
So Willem, by the time you clamber up behind them, seeing there's not to be done for Arlek, you can see by the time you get to your kinswoman that the shadow cat is like figure 8ing between her legs and meowing worriedly, and Jess looks white as a ghost and like swaying, and a great flap of skin from like the middle of her forehead down over to the arch of her left eye has just been like ripped free by the course of the arrow, and blood from an extremity just like sheets down over the left side of her face.
She needs a maester, my lord. Hurry up. He spits.
Yes, Mathis, you can do nothing about this. He'll Willem will say as he's finding a clean piece of cloth from his shirt to tear off to try to stop the bleeding.
Tie her head too tight such that it hurts. We'll stimulate the bleeding if we may. Gods be damned. They will see us our fire, but we must make one to cauterize her wound, to steal it. Then I will stitch what I can. We've no drink up here with us, nothing to dull the pain. You must bite down on this, girl, lest they hear your screams, and he'll take like his leather belt pouch and stuff it at your mouth to bite down so you don't shatter teeth.
Are there others
Sure.
around here?
I imagine to Jess this is all just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she, she's growing. Yeah, and you would see her just increasingly pale. Shock setting in, and she's just completely out of it. And to her, it's all and she sees the shadow cub sort of circling at her legs and snuffling at the pouch of dried meat she keeps at her waist, and she sees the young beast is yet unnamed, and in that moment of bizarre lucidity, or failing lucidity, the creature looks to her like the visage of the stranger, that one of the 7 faces of the gods.
Yeah. You, Willem, will then witness as Mathis Warren helps tie your cloak around to your sister's head, and he'll start a fire and throw a blade, like a dagger, into it. And he'll pull out a pouch which has a spool of catgut and a long, crooked-looking needle. And he says, "She will not be pretty any longer if she lives. She may come to thank us though for this." And then he'll go over to you.
How fine are his hands? Because I'm thinking I might do it instead.
He's got long, slender hands. He's like a tall, lean man, but he is older. Yeah, he'd be in his 40s or early 50s. If you think you have a steadier hand, I have sewn wounds and cauterize them. But usually there's wine to boil, or ale to deaden the senses, or if we're close enough to the town, milk of the poppy.
Yeah, I think Willem's going to try to do it himself instead. Worried that he'll make a mess.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. You'll have to stitch the wound close, like the skin, to pull the flap back, and then cauterize it in place. And then the catgut will have to be painfully pulled out of the scabs, even if it heals, if she doesn't die. And then it'll be a mess. It'll be a mess over the top of her forehead there.
Okay, well maybe I'll try to give him aid or something instead. Do it together.
Yeah. The man from Jostin, I imagine, is very put ill at ease, as after he binds the prisoner, he's ordered to make up a fire, which here usually means death for the Rangers. But
yeah, I stare into this woman's eyes, kind of having her pinned. Are there others in the area? Speak! As a bit of carrot root juice kind of seeps out of my mouth and into hers.
Oh, aye, my Lord Neela. Dozens and hundreds of us.
Knowing that she probably speaks somewhat truth in that. He goes on to do as he's bid.
Yeah, by the time you go to the other prisoner, the one who'd been shot through the thigh and the chest, he's just staring up at the failing sunlight. So the Gwen will be your only prisoner. She was shot through the leg by you, I believe, winged just through the skin.
Yeah.
So she's bleeding too, I guess. So Mathers would have to give fucking hateful order of bind her up as well, bind up the prisoner and make effort to save her life, all while worrying the whole time of further mountain men coming down who might have heard the clamour to descend upon them while they're weakened.
Okay, I do so then.
In your excruciation dreams, Jess, the face of the cat, which has changed to the face of the stranger, has changed to the face of Hap. And he's in Carnhold, walking around like a ghost, and you know he's a ghost. And when you call for him, he hears you, and his face grows angry. His face never grew angry; it only grew sad. But here it looks angry, and as he rushes towards you and reaches out, he has cat's claws, longer and sharper than the one that did for him, that you did for. And he reaches at your head, screaming, "Why? Why?" as he rips at the front of your face, and lightning anguish courses through your mind where his claws stab in, probing for an answer until it all fuddles into a murky nothingness. And eventually the pain relents.
And the screams are mingled of why with Jess as the cinematic sort of clash there of Hap coming and crashing into her. He's saying why, and Jess is like, I'm sorry, as it then cuts.
Hours
And
later,
to the onlookers, she's probably probably mouthing that in a feverish state. I'm sorry.
after the grisly work's seen to, Mathers will say to you, Willem, with a hand on your shoulder, "We've done as much as we cared now. She's in the hands of the gods. We must get down from this place. I'm sorry, but we must leave your man. We've no time." And he looks to the body of Arlik.
Yes, we must. Let us make haste then.
Yeah, a memory of Harlech comes to your mind, unbidden, of him sitting at the base of an elm tree, smiling at his fellows, talking of loving women who were red as roses, and tales of Northmen, of Redhead being touched by fire. But he looks so cold now, as you forsake his body to the mountain and descend with your sister clinging to life. By the time you reach a base camp, and there are dozens of scouts here who have come to the call of Mathers, and there's probably a score or so of men who've gathered round to throw up tents in the lee of some crag where Jess is groaning in a stupor, and you're summoned by Sir Mather and a couple of his rangers to a tent where this woman, Gwen, her hands bound, is strung up to a tent pole. And the man from Joston is there as well, who'd helped you ambush them. "Tell the lordling what you told us," says the knight to a badly bruised and beaten Gwen. And she'll spit and mumble through a couple of cracked teeth. "Oh, Harag, he has dozens and hundreds of black goats up in the crag. And come the new moon, he intends to set Joston aflame. And he intends to run the Joston River red with your blood, and slough off your flesh, Warrens, and drink from your skull. And the rest," he'll kick her, and she'll and she'll look to you, Willem, and say, "The stone chewers, they've marched east across the moon crag. They go to Harry Craiger, afeard of so many hundreds of swans. Harag is not afeared by pretty swan boys." And she'll look to you, Willem, hatefully, despite her precarious situation.
Does this seem like something she's rehearsed, or she's just speaking truth?
You think she's broken by violence into truth, but some fear that she thinks is in that truth buoys her against the pain and gives her some courage.
Of giving us fear?
Yeah. You see a woman defeated who's trying to die free.
Yeah, Willem's distracted. He's just very good, Mathis. Less foes to fight, it seems. He looks back to where, in the direction of where Jess is. She said nothing else.
How many are in this camp?
100. 50 of them are mountaineers. 50 are folk from Grail, under the command of Jess and Willem. The rest of the forces are at Mountain's Reach, awaiting the ferrying of a further 100 archers, I believe it was, to reinforce their armies.
Perhaps we should retreat back to the Mountain Reach, my lord. He spits again. We don't want to be here when they sweep over us. If the Talon be true.
If the demon speaks any truth, then their numbers exceed our own, and this is their territory. Best to yield this useless ground and go to where we are strong. See that the men are prepared, Arwell.
Aye.
And he'll look to you, Willem, and say, "I'm sorry, but we must move. Your sister cannot stay. She must sit a horse, and we must take her from this place. It is better to risk her condition here than to let your sister be yielded over to mountain men. Trust me, my lord," he'll say, all seriousness.
I do trust you. Yes, it must be done. Girl, he says, and he turns to this beaten woman.
Girl, I'm a woman grown. I've put 2 children in the dirt already, and I've had a husband. Boy.
Yes, of course. Why would he seek to fight in such a place of our strength? Your leader.
He means to break your strength in repayment for the blood at Jostin's Rock.
Willem just nods. Says, we must break camp then.
Moon men are always strongest at the new moon, and she'll smile crookedly with like blood and cracked teeth. And one of Mathers's mountaineers will give her a mailed gauntlet to the gut to stop her petulance. What do you want done with them, my lord? And that question makes you turn, even though it was directed at Sir Mathers. He takes a moment before giving his pronouncement.
Willem will just wait for his pronouncement.
Torment her no further. Hang her quickly and be done with it. Aye, my lord, and he'll like roughly grab her and cut her down from the tent pole and take her out to find a tree.
Yeah, Willem will try to see to somehow helping Jess be able to
Yeah.
sit a horse.
You throw a cloak over her in case it rains, and put a hood up to protect her like wound from the elements, heavily bandaged and groaning in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she awakes to scream "why" or "I'm sorry" and disturbs the men greatly. And you can lash her boots to her stirrups so she won't fall out of the saddle, and lead your horse ahead of hers with like a short rein so that you can keep your sister in tow and safely.
Yeah, if that seems like it's not going to work, I'll just put her like in the saddle in front of me.
Yeah,
In
maybe
my
that's
saddle.
more practical actually. Like she's in front of you, like you like bend
Yeah.
the saddle horn away
Just-
so she can sit in front, and then you hold her.
Yeah,
You'd probably
Be a
feel
cool
uneasy
image.
because the shadow cub would be basically stalking alongside you and looking up.
Yeah, always jumping out of place at the last moment to avoid the horse kicking out of it, because the horses all fucking hate the shadow cat.
Yeah. It'd be a strange procession, I think. A
Yeah,
tense
yowls
one.
every so often, but the men
Yeah.
are too afeard of Willem's quiet wrath to tell him to shut the beast up.
yeah.
And the
I'll just
horse
ride
is
like
just twitchy nonstop. Yeah.
I'll just move like a meter or so away, so it's like not spooking all the horses constantly. Just mine.
Yeah, it seems to like treat you well enough, even though you've seen it be savage to other people nearabouts, Jess. But in this moment of tenderness, and while it's obvious that you're like caring for her, it's accepting of you, and you wonder how much of its yelling is to keep others away from you, or it's just general discontent of the beast. Sensing everyone's nerves and uncertainty, you ride off away from the looming shadows of the vale and back towards Mountain Reach to convene. Days later, Oster and Ronald, you'll arrive ahead of a column of 100 mounted men, thundered across the hinterlands where the Westerlands meet the Riverlands, and into the borders of Grell lands. You're not being disturbed upon your travels, though you have noted a few crow cages with mouldering corpses in them and small signs of and tales of brigandry in the area. But it's with no issue other than that that you arrive at the open portcullis of Castle Grell, and by the time of your coming into the yard, Lord Damon and his demure, beautiful young sister alongside him will await you with their septon and maester, the rest of their court, as befits a lord of your rank and retinue. And the lithe lord, all dressed in the colours of his house, the red, white, and blue, will step forward and give a slight bow of his head and open his arms wide and say, "My lord, well met. You are welcome here. I'm honoured to host you, and so soon after seeing you at feast last. Come, my friend," and he'll gesture for his squires to help you out of the saddle.
Most generous, thank you. I'll say and step out of it, and sort of put my hands wide and walk towards him.
It is good to see you, my lord. I confess I am intrigued at your coming and in the manner. And he looks at the men with you, the knights and such, and is in a very polite, courtly way asking you to explain yourself. Like in a way that no one else at the court would ever say, "Oh, he chided him, he did, me lord."
Yeah.
They would never get this, but you get it.
Well, we were travelling, and you can't be too careful nowadays, I suppose. And we have men to spare. We should talk quietly about this. I went to visit several lords on the way here, and one of them led me to you.
His eyes level, and he stops a word that was forthcoming, and then will say, "You have the right of it, my lord. Come." And he will say to his sister, "Lady Marion, see to the rest of my lord's retinue and see that they are well accommodated and have their needs met." "Of course, my lords," and she'll bow and smile to the both. He'll curtsy and then go off to see to the others in your retinue. Oster, do you go with your lord or do you stay with the men?
Nope, I go with Ronald.
Okay, so he'll take the two of you into his hall and have it sealed, have salt and bread brought out for you, and then some wine, a nice light hippocras, to be poured at the table above the salt. And he will say, "You have heard of the trouble in these lands, then, of the brigands, and of this bloody Red Knight." And the word wakes a ghost from the tomb of your mind.
That's not what I had heard, and not what brought me here. Brigandry.
No. We have never fully had these lands scoured. There's too many rills and streams and tributaries for them to flee, either to the western mountains or south into the overgrown lands. But of late, these last 2 moons, one has risen amongst them, some bloody bastard they call the Scarlet Knight, or Dugan the Demon. And he has rallied some men to him, and they've burnt a couple of holdfasts and hanged one of my tax collectors and stolen all of his silver. And that is not the half of it, my lord. And he clenches his fist at that, and you can hear the leather wrenching. I have fought his men in battle, if it can be called such, and even captured some of their arms and armor. An interesting tale it is, where those weapons come from. But before that, my lord, you must, pray tell, honour me. You say you came from other lords.
I went to acquire iron at Deepenhall, and the old lord there spoke of a disagreement between the two of you, and well, I am friendly with both of you and thought perhaps I could intercede and help quash whatever this is.
I did not think the prickly old pair had any room for friends. I'm surprised to hear you say so.
Well, it's his son that I am friendly with. I faced him in the lists, and he is a genuinely pious and goodly knight. An example.
Oh, indeed. My sister calls him a septon in mail.
I believe that's true, yes. He's really... Often we speak of knights to be a certain way. He is the thing we think of. Nonetheless, I have a fondness for him, and I think that he is a goodly man, and so I thought I could intercede here and perhaps put to bed whatever this is, this issue between you. There's to be peace in the realm.
Yeah. If it's your friend's fortune you wish for, then strike his father's head from his shoulders and let the son rule. For the father brings only doom upon his house. It is Dolva steel crafted in fair market, which is in the hands of this Scarlet Knight and his men. More than a dozen blades that I confiscate, and my master smith here, Ren Aliard, he travelled to fair market and pressed the smiths there to find this is true. Their own mark is upon the blade. They would arm the brigands in my land. That is war, sir, plain and true.
Do you know that some time ago, accusations were laid at the feet of House Grail that our men had made an attack into the lands of another house and had acted as brigands? I gave no such order, and no such thing had happened. But arms, shields had been acquired from my house, and it got so far that we spoke to the king and queen directly about this matter. What I'm trying to say is, things are not always as clear as they appear, my lord.
Well, what do you say to this then, my lords? And he'll gesture for his maester, a portly, paunchy, baby-faced man called Maester Halus. And he'll clank along with his shining chain necklace, and he'll lay some ravens down. And he'll show you responses signed by the Lord of Deepenhall, refusing satisfaction, mocking terms, denying arming brigands against him, but giving provocation in those refusals.
I cannot speak.
I have given him the option to prove his honor in the field of battle against me personally, but he refuses my call, old coward that he is.
Well, he's old. And were you his age, I think you would not want to fight a man your age. I don't mean to say that his actions have been totally defensible. These insults are insults, and there's no question about that. But rude talk is not cause for war, should not be. There is a peace. King Robert has declared so, and must remain so.
Indeed. The usurper's word of peace is an interesting thing, but
The
I just
king.
tell you true, my lord, I do not fear the power of Casterly Rock. I know well that Lord Dolva's wife is some golden leoness from some extant branch of the tree, but what is the might of Casterly Rock against the trinity of the Riverlands, the North, and the Vale? I think Lord Dolva estimates how much Tywin Lannister would lend his strength to this foolish endeavor. And if he does, well, all the better for our Lord Hoston, eh?
Yes. I suppose you're right. Ronald is extremely taken aback to hear this kind of talk, and was not expecting it. But he'll sort of nod. This banditry, it is a problem. We recently dealt with a lot of bandits in our lands, and it will eat away at a house. It gives you the impression that there are enemies on all sides. It gives you the impression that everyone is out to get you. And anything you find in a brigand's hand is evidence that lords are out to get you. This, I believe, is just a disagreement. He doesn't like you, and you don't like him. There's no cause for war.
And why did he not accept my overtures of peace? I have been more than reasonable with the old fool.
Because he's an old bastard. He's old and cantankerous and miserable and wants to feel important.
Then how do we stay him from this course, and how am I to have reparations for the small folk slain by Dolva Steel?
I don't believe that he had anything to do with the steel. Indirectly, it is his steel, yes. In the same way that if someone crafted a sword in Paleford and then went to the north and killed a man with it, that would be the same.
One blades, or 3 or 5, half a dozen. Could be coincidence, but
Yes.
dozens of blades, my lord.
And perhaps they attacked a caravan and took them, or perhaps they went into a store and purchased all of the blades there that were made by the Dulvers with stolen coin. There are many reasons why this might be the case, my lord.
The man next to him, Maester Halis, gives the body language and shifting of weight that one of your friends does when someone says something to you that they've already said to you that you have dismissed.
Yeah, see these letters, Maester.
Of course, my lord. And with soft, like manicured, pudgy little sausage fingers, he'll reach over the with ink-stained fingers. He'll reach over the ravens to you, and you can kind of get this chronology of, my lord, I've heard word of your discontent and slighting me. I ask you what I've done to give offence, and then all the way up to like, answer for this. Why is there steel in these brigands' hand with the mark of your house? What treachery is this? Meet me on the fields, and we shall settle this duel. And then like replies of derision and provocation thereafter, which you could kind of believe, right, Ronald, because you
Yeah.
found the man prickly and insulting and obnoxious, right? But there was a different to the way that he kind of like, they were like lightning quick rebuttals,
Yeah.
not premeditated missives, diplomatic missives to other lords. So it seems consistent and inconsistent all at once, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could hear him saying these things, but maybe you couldn't imagine him writing these things down. Or maybe you could. Like, you know, some of your
Yeah.
own words might be truth. You know, he is an old cantankerous fuck.
Would you still be interested, Lord, to meet him one-on-one on the field of battle to settle these grievances?
Of course, for the honor of my house and for the compensation of my small folk, I would meet him with any weapon in hand that he might choose. I'll even face his pious son if he's too cowardly or afeard to fight me himself.
I look to Ronald, and I give him that look that says, I need to speak with you and only you.
Yeah. My lord, there's a lot to think about, and I would urge patience. I have met the man, and he is difficult to deal with. I will admit that. I think that he is miserable, and he will say whatever he thinks and not second guess it. Beyond that, I think that it's likely that he simply ranted and the Maester took down whatever he said, which is a Maester's job, I suppose. But then again, depending on the quality of the Maester, and he'll look at the Maester behind Lord Grell, it's also a Maester's job to temper and focus the words of a lord. And if that's not happening, then you might understand why these missives are so fiery. We are on good terms with the Dovers, at least with the son. And I think that there's something we can do to figure out this mess and to avoid the spilling of blood. That would be best for all. We want to keep the king happy because he is the true and only king of the Seven Kingdoms. And his might is unthinkable. And to speak ill of him is not wise.
Yeah, you forgive me, sir. You mistake me, sir. I mean no insult to our king. Robert is king by all the laws of men, the most important law of all, the law of conquest. But I do say it true that I do not fear the Westlands, nor their vassal pups, and I will not fear this Dolver if he wishes to mash his turnips against me.
Do you know, when I went to King's Landing, there was a trial. And of all of the men there, all of the lords that I had to speak to convince them of my innocence in this brigandry that had been placed against us, There were great lords there, mighty men with powerful, storied careers, and none of them struck fear into me. But the only one who had the look of a man that I would never cross was Tywin Lannister. He has eyes like a lion. Not that they are golden, but that he looks at you like prey. And I would urge caution on this.
I accept and thank you for your advice, my lord, but I will remember you that all of the lions of the Westerland have been skinned of their hides and put to the spear many generations back.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Halis gives you a look of like your sentiments are mine, and sensing that the two of you, like the energy, like the two of you wish for like refreshments or privacy or something like that. Lord Damon will say, "You will forgive me, my lords. I have other business to attend, and will feast you this evening as befits your station, and we shall talk of setting things aright if it is your wish, and mayhaps of other things as well." And he looks to you, Oster, at that, hinting at some future prospect.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for hosting us, Lord.
"If you will come with me, my lord," says Maester Halis, jiggly and wobbly, and stepping lightly, he'll lead you, soft scuff of his boots, up like a spiraled staircase to a modest pair of chambers. One has like a double bed spread out with food and drink, and there is like a page and a serving girl there, and that's obviously your room, Ronald. And the Maester, if there's nothing you say to him, he'll nod respectfully and say, "My lords," and then he'll descend the spiral staircase to leave you to your conspiration.
Yeah, as soon as the wine is poured, I send the page and the serving girl away behind a closed door.
Ronald watches her leave, a bit of his previous tendencies returning, and then he'll focus his attention back to you.
I like watch her eyes, and as soon as they lock onto mine, I say, "You may not know this, but Lord Harold Dulver marched with Tywin Lannister on the sacking of King's Landing during the rebellion. He might be looking for something. This turnip might have spent too much time under the ground and wishes its time in the sun. Dulvers have never been an ambitious house until Lord Harold took its seat. And there's obviously inconsistency within these letters.
I agree. What do you think is happening?
Either the Maester is working alone and trying to interpret his lord's will, or Dulver is playing us for a fool.
Maybe this is an underestimation, but I don't see him capable of something so clever as to plant weapons into the hands of brigands. He seems direct and brutish.
Yes, but his Maester Falston is not.
No.
He may be orchestrating his lord's will.
Would be treason.
They need to fight in the field of battle.
Grell will kill Dover. He'll kill him, and then his son will have an endless feud against the Grells, and then his son will have an endless feud against the Dulvers forever into the end of the world. A trial by combat or some fight is not going to solve this issue. It's going to make it worse as far as I can see. I thought maybe I would fight for Dover. If I lose, he will not kill me, and if I win, I will not kill him, and it will not be the same sting of defeat.
Well, Do you think the Lord will let his son fight in his place?
It would be the same problem. What if the son is killed? I mean, it wouldn't be to the death, but accidents happen, and I think accidents have a much larger propensity to happen in feud duels.
Perhaps the love of his people and the love of the seven, Delver will stay his hand in the end.
Perhaps. And I don't see that being the end of it.
This may run deeper. This may run all the way to the Lannisters.
It could. And what of Dugan?
A name I wish not to have heard again.
Hmm.
But it
Yes.
seems he has made an opportunity of the situation.
I almost laid an egg when he mentioned the name. How he got here is a mystery.
Perhaps we should disperse our men. Maybe we can rout them.
Maybe he's well armed and well supplied and has a fort somewhere. He's a capable man.
I do wish to turn the page on this, but that may be true. We cannot let these go to war. We cannot let these houses go to war. That would not, I'm sure, would not be what the Tullys had in mind in sending us here to resolve this. An extended feud I feel like we could live with, but open war? No.
Yes, you're right. Maybe we just need to bring it back down to a simmer from a boil. So, Dulver owes Grell money and supplies for the lives of small folk lost to brigands and men lost in the fight against brigands. And Dulver has much iron. Is there some way that they could... He shakes his head. There's no way Dulver would give something to make up for this, I don't think.
No.
So miserly and prickly.
Yeah.
His father was very miserly and a hoarder, and Lord Harold has spent most of his life shedding himself of his father's cellar wares. He will not go for this.
The boy, the young one, he's the heir.
No, Walton is the heir. Horace is the second. Walton
Walton
is
is.
21. Yep. And Horace, who's been lauded and landed above his older brother, is only 17.
Okay, I thought he had been moved up in the inheritance. Okay, that makes more sense.
Still by law, technically, Walton is the heir. It's just that he's out of favor of his father. At
okay.
the moment.
But if the father died, it would be Walton became Lord.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
I would not think that Sir Dulver knows of this banditry.
No, I don't believe so. We can't just kill Lord Dover.
I let that hang in the air for a moment. It would solve our problems.
How would we? Not that we will, of course.
What do we know of the house? He has a powerful house. He has lots of
Which house?
soldiers. Dulver.
So you would have got the impression that House Dolver is quite defensible. Like they have a garrison of 200 men, and then 100 turnips, which are like their men at arms. And like their holdfast sits at those mountains, surveying from like the coast to the hinterland at the approach to the Westerlands. So defensively, they're pretty strong. Like you wouldn't put your money with your superior army of you rooting them out of keep and army. Like they would pwn you in defense, but in attack, not so good, right? They don't have a versatile or supportive army. They don't have like a good mix of cavalry and archers like Grell do. So they have disadvantages in pitched battle. But they have a decent sized army, 300 to say what you're 500, and Grell's 400. But Grell's a majority archers, so similarly they're kind of defensive army too.
Let's say I would lead him out of his stronghold and look for an opportunity to strike.
You know, he sort of gestures for a second and then like puts his hand in his throat and like mimics someone choking. That stuff. Is that easy to trace?
No, in fact, some victims die moments after the hand's been removed. The swelling continues within the throats. Poison may be an option. He is old, constitution, has suffered under long years.
We have to be nowhere near it. It has to be impossible to even suggest that we were in any way involved. Because if we come into these lands and we realize that there's problems, and then sometime later, mysteriously, Lord Dolver dies, the only person who is causing the problem, well, the implication is clear.
It seems we have already added ourselves to this already complicated situation. It'd be hard not to avoid implication.
I don't know what options we have here. We can try and organize a duel, but I don't know that that will really fix the problem. Do you agree on that? That will cause more problems than it solves?
Maybe, but maybe if we, regardless of the outcome of the duel, hopefully if it can stave off open warfare, then it'll give us an opportunity to consider other plans.
What is the cost of the things that Lord Grell has owed? How much could it be?
I run through some numbers. I'm like, how do I weigh a small folk's life, in silver, I guess.
Would we have an impression of like what the worth roughly is, Nico, of the stuff that he's owed?
Yeah. I think you would. You'd be in the realm of 100 or several hundred gold dragons worth of damage.
Okay, so a shitload.
Like a knight's ransom worth of money.
Gold dragons, yeah? Hundreds?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, like burning of a holdfast, slaying of like 20 people or so.
Yeah, okay.
But if it's Lord Dolver's ambition behind this, and he still holds the leech of Dugan, I doubt it will end with payment.
No.
We must deal with Dugan for that plan to work.
Perhaps we could pay him to go somewhere else.
Hey, Dugan.
Yes.
No.
We could pay him to go somewhere else, and then the issue will be solved. We'll have solved the bandits.
Oster, he doesn't smile outwardly, but he like inside is thinking, "Oh gosh, what could I do with a group of like bannerless mercenaries?" So good.
He would not accept service into our house before, but perhaps now that he has lost so much, he could do good work in Port Merrill. He's an effective man, and probably no more a criminal than many of the others who already dwell there.
And we need to change the place. Lord, having Dugan walk the streets.
Yes, I understand. Just a thought.
It's as though he could be put to other campaigns far afield. I mean, your ambitions don't stop with Port Merrill or Riverthorn, do they?
No. Well, I don't know what more we can take, but there is more that can be acquired, I think. Though what we can take by arms, that's a different question.
If we could somehow get word to Dugan to treat with us, maybe we can either eliminate him or pay him to leave.
Find out who's paying him. If it's Dulver, then we know what we have to do. If it's Dulver, then it is an act of war, and then he should be hanged.
But if it goes all the way to the Lannisters, we're talking about Cersei.
Then we pretend we didn't hear anything and we go home.
Empty-handed? Back to Tully?
And we can tell Tully that it's the Lannisters and that we are his leal servants, but to get mixed up in that is not our place.
Is that true? Is it fine information? Is that acceptable?
I mean, I think for me, like, it goes both way. We're his banner men, but he's also our lord, and so he protects us as well in a way. So I think if we discover that it like has roots all the way to the Lannisters, and we go back and say, listen, it's fucking way bigger than you thought, I don't think he will be like, well, you should have fixed it. Like, we can't fix it, you know? If that's the
A
case.
smart
you know?
lord would be like, good,
Yes.
you made the right decision informing me of the monstrous depth of this.
Yeah, okay. Then that's good. Then I think we should try to retreat with Dulver.
Yes. Why don't we have some of our night's dessert?
I like where this is going. Indeed.
Who are the roughest among them? And he'll like drum on the table for a second and think about like which of his knights are often like the most disheveled and crudest mouthed. And we'll pick out like two of them, I guess, with the intent of them deserting and running away and finding and joining Dulver's band, and bringing information to us. I guess it's a long plan, though, is the thing.
Well, we must play both sides. Perhaps I should return to Dulver and hold his hand. We should probably disperse our soldiers amongst the most vulnerable area of Grell lands.
I don't want to lose our men defending Grell lands.
Hopefully they'll just be a deterrent until we can treat with Dugan.
Well, I will speak with the Lord at the feast and ask him if there's anywhere on the outskirts or on the frontier that he would like help with while we search into this matter.
And
So then we're agreed. We'll seek to find Dugan and go from there.
I stand up and indeed. Shall I fetch the serving girl?
Yes, I think you better head.
And that's where we'll take a bio break and Smoko, and we'll come back in 5. So Jess, the voices of so many ghosts in your fever dreams all kind of coalesce into one moan, which heightens into a shriek, and then a string of blasphemous curses relating to the seven, and that shakes you into wakefulness. You hear a clash of a dish and then a bowl of like glass or porcelain smash and like liquid splopping, and you see a flash of black and hear chains, like manacled snakes slithering about, making so much racket. You feel yourself in some kind of surreal dungeon, um, till your like senses prevail over the fever, and you see Maester Halus scrambling, and feathers flying in the air as he curses, "You devil cat, you stranger!" As your shadow cat like leaps from one ledge to a nearby chair, and a couple of potions that were sitting nearby that its tail brushed, they like wobble precariously like they might fall, and the cat like hisses and then bares its teeth and gives like a which sets all the other ravens to squawking, and it drops down the corpse of the raven that it had caught in here, and at the foot of your bed, and then stands there protectively over you and the kill. And the maesters, gods, gods, and yeah, through like your groggy vision and hearing, the door bursts in, and three men pile in. Two of them are dressed in Mountains Reach tabardry. The other wears your brother's swan. You recognize him as Willem's man, Alan of Paleford. And they all kind of cry out at once, "What goes? What is?" And they're kind of standing there, hands on their weapons, as this shadow cat yowls and defends its kill and its mistress.
She's just hungry, Alan. She says, like sort of squinting
Jess,
and blinking.
you're awake, and he'll come to your side, warily eyeing the cat across the bed.
Stranger, down, she says, you know, and gives what she hopes is a reassuring look to Alan as he comes over. Like, yeah, don't worry too much about Stranger. I've got her under control. Although the look that is actually received, her face is obviously in a very unusual state. So, and probably still bandaged up even. So
you feel the pressure of the bandage wound around your forehead.
Yeah, and she'll reach up with her hand and touch at her face, and then maybe actually sort of shy away a bit, like look away from Alan, like realizing what she must look like. Not that she's ever particularly cared about her looks, but yeah, she suddenly has a vision in her mind's eye of what she must look like in his bed as some kind of creature or something like that.
That was one of my oldest birds, a fine bird. She had many clutches that could be. And the man goes on, and Alan will look to the man and say, "Hush, my Lord Grey will pay for your bird, Maester." And then he'll look to you, Jess, and like take your hands away from the bandage, and they'll come away like your fingertips smelling of iron and something from a maester's rookery. And there's like a pain that's left behind from the touch there. And you'll say, "Easy now, girl. The wound is still fresh. It's been some days. You're lucky to be alive." And the shadow cat, now looking edified, will like nudge the dead raven at your feet, and then sit down comfortably with its tail flopping, kind of like "fuck you" to the maester. And the two men in the livery of the Lord of Mountains Reach, one will stay, and the other will go with an urge to tell the lords that Jess has awoken. And the maester will, under the rebuke of Alan, will like set down his other things and then go collect what's been broken, uttering to himself how the cost and the time that it will take to have those things again, and all for base spawn. And he shakes his head. But Alan of Paleford ignores him and says, "What do you remember, girl?"
As she goes to touch her face again and stops, noting what you said, that the wound's still fresh. "Days, you said. I've been in here for days. I remember," and we see that thing where it cuts to like these intense flashes of what happened. Her shooting her loosing an arrow, her taking an axe, and then the blood just spraying. I don't remember what hit my face, but the girl, the woman, the mountain woman, she says, sort of sitting up and then wincing and and slowing down again. What happened to her?
The Lord's men, they hung her from a dead tree.
Huh. She says,
Not afore she spilt what secrets she could to your Lord brother.
Yeah, she's kind of surprised at how numb she feels at that, or just how indifferent she feels at that, and thinks of her Lord brother Ronald the Red, at the thoughts that well up of good. It's good that we got that information, and it's fine that she's dead. She catches those thoughts and, thinks upon herself what influence the stranger is having over her in this state.
Aye, some days, Jess. Your brother's men have arrived, 100 archers from Paleford. There's more than 300 men in the yards or about at the foothills. Mighty host. Willem does well. He's in council with the Lord of the Reach at the moment. But we've sent a man to tell them that you've woken. It was he who requested that your shadow cat be allowed to stay. The thing yowled awfully and took to one of the kennel hounds. It killed the beast. Lucky that Lord Ronald sent a fine enough purse for your brother, or else that thing would have us starve. Though it didn't leave your side these last days.
So it's thanks to Grail coffers that stranger here yet lives, and it's thanks to stranger that I live. I'm sure Ronald will be pleased enough. What he bought, that he bought my own life indirectly.
Well, your sweeter brother is just thankful for your life. I think the silver does not worry him. As for my Lord Ronald, I will not speak, my lady.
Wise man.
Come now, says Maester Hayless, and he'll pry with his pudgy little fingers and begin pulling the bandage, unwinding it clockwise about your head. And Alan will lift up a bowl at his insistence so that he can splop the rags and dirty bandages down into. And then he'll take a cloth that smells of rosemary and has steam coming off it, and he'll dab around the edges, and it causes arcing pain like when you brush a scab you've forgotten about. But he'll hold one of your hands back and urge Alan to do the same. And once you cry out in pain too oft, he'll mutter to himself and make a little uncture of milk of the poppy and dab it inside your mouth and set to his work, which sets you reeling onto the edge of fever dreams again for a moment. And before he steps back with a cool compress removed, you come back from the limits of sanity and away from pain, back to a dullness, and see that Alan has grabbed this burnished bronze circular mirror with a handle at either side of it, and holds it up to your face for your inspection.
Yeah, I think she hesitates, wondering how long she can just linger her gaze on Alan as she delays the inevitable, looking at the mirror. Even goes through thoughts, need I even look? But then she does, and what does she see?
Yeah, in the burnished bronze, it looks like all your face is kind of scarred or lined. But as you peer in, it's impossible to ignore the great kind of river of scar tissue that runs from the center of your forehead, kind of like a second larger arching brow down to the side of your face in between your cheekbone and ear. And because of the way that the skin's been cauterized and stitched, it makes your left eye kind of fleck up at its corner, making it thinner and meaner than the other. And you feel pain when you try to correct what you think you should look like from memory at reflection, and it's painful when you try and command that now burned and rearranged skin.
And
The
when
maester will
as she
turn
looks at
and-
the stranger looking back at her in the mirror, she and then just off to the side of her view there, she sees the shadow cub, named Stranger now, looking at her as well. Probably just finishing off the raven. Its kill that it made.
It wasn't eating it. It like got it for you. You know how cats.
Oh, it kept it for me. Yeah, I
birds
thought
in
that.
bed,
Yeah, I wondered.
It
Yeah,
thinks you need to eat it.
yeah. It's
Like, it
taking
knows
care
you're
of me.
hungry. Like seeing
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
you feel that in your belly of it eating
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, true. Yeah, she has that realization then. Sees this expensive raven there and wonders how rude it would be to refuse. But she sees the parallel between the stranger looking back at her from the mirror and the stranger at the foot of the bed, and the similarity in the markings on their face now, as the shadow cub has scars upon its face from her hound fish, defending itself before it died. Just a couple of strangers ourselves, she says, and then she says to the maester, "There'll be coin enough to compensate for the raven and the potions, and for what it's worth, perhaps I can help train the next clutch."
I would not leave such delicate matters to one unskilled, but I thank you. You must needs speak to your lord and mine own upon the matter. I'm glad you have convalesced here, and he'll put a little clay pot into the hands of Alan of Paleford and say, "This should be put upon the wound every morning and night, and it bound closely with a cloth that can breathe." And Alan will kind of nod and carefully place it in his little satchel at his side. And he'll say, "Oh, rest easy now, girl, rest easy." And he'll kind of help you back into the pillow.
Yeah, she'll settle down and then just start, she'll be smirking to herself, and then she'll just sort of start laughing to herself, just amused by, and it would just probably seem like she's just losing her mind, but she's just amused at the ignorance of such an educated man. Clearly she's skilled. She's trained this shadow cat. How hard could it be to train ravens to send messages? She's sort of laughing to herself. Lingering.
Pretty hard if your cat eats them all.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, at the Northwood Tor, around a stone table with a wooden top that's painted and rearranged to resemble the domains of Lord of Mountain Reach, you and young Dunstan, Tullis and Willem pore over the map and others, and moving markers about, and he'll say, "With your own brothers' hundreds added to our forces, we'll dwarf the Black Goats, especially now that the Rock Chewers have gone east to harry Lord Crygear. He is John Arryn's man and responsibility. I wonder if he will get as much help in this as I have from our Lord Hoster Tully. But with our forces married, my lord, we shall take them. Here at Jostin's Rock, we'll destroy everything they've left behind, leave no stone unturned, desecrate their unholy places. If that does not draw them to us, we'll take our hounds to the foothills and follow their trails. That will lead us to their camps. If they will not fight us in battle, we will kill their home folk and destroy what serves as dwellings for those brigand folk."
Willem likes rubbing the back of his neck where it's still sore from a blow. How many days is it, Lord, until the new moon?
He will look, wishing for the maester, but he's not here as yet, so he'll move to one of the books at the shelf, take it down, flip for a while and think to himself, a third of a 10-day, or less, a couple of days' time, he'll say, is the new moon.
And if the goat girl is to be trusted, that is when its force will come upon us. You still wish to mount an assault?
Yes, I do. I do not mean to thwart their raid, but to rip them out root and stem with honest battle. The warrior will favor us. We have more than enough men to garrison Jostin and to be proof against them, even if she was not lying to us. And with the rest, with our main strength, we might follow them to the Vale and do them in for one and all.
I look around. Is Mathers here?
Yeah, he would be. As is Sir Gamble Hill, the older uncle of Dunstan Tullison.
I only worry that if we sally out, then the girl was right, and the host comes upon us here, we will have left it defenseless. Looks around to the others as if it's sort of should be obvious that, like, why this is a shit idea.
He'll like point to like the painted stone, which means a century of his garrison at Jostin, and say, "How would you have it then, my lord?"
What of waiting here, easily defending their assault, and then pursuing them into their holds after they have broken themselves on your defenses?
And if she lies and they use the time to slip away as the rock chewers do?
Well, then there will be no battle, but the foe will be gone.
And when your brother asks for his men back, and a time turns, then they will return and raid me once again.
I see your point. It is hard, I suppose, to scour the mountainside. You cannot burn crops or ruin their fortifications as you could in a battle in a normal territory. It is not many days till the new moon, though. We would not have to wait long to find out if she spoke the truth.
Very well. And then we wait.
Are there other scouts' reports?
Mathis will step forward to the table and look between the both of you and say, "There were other sentries in the hills as those that we took prisoner from. They would not leave them behind to scout, so did they not have a strength nearby? We have not found that strength, but I feel it in my bones that it is there. The rock chewers may have fled, but the styled king of the Black Goats has sworn an oath to moon and sky that he will drink wine from my skull. He will not risk losing his place as their leader by foregoing the opportunity. I will go to Jostin and hold the forces there. And if the goat girl is right, I shall slay this Horrok. If not, we can pursue their host into the mountains with our mountaineers and the Grail archers." Yeah, Tullison doesn't seem to like this as much, but he won't argue against the older man's counsel. Sir Gamble Hill doesn't say anything but nods, agreeing with Warren's as well.
Yeah, I trust Warren the most, I think, for military strategy. It seems wise course.
So there's 2 stones painted red with white swans blazed on them. One is your 100 archers, and the other is your 100 men at arms. And then there's 3 discs on the map of the region belonging to Lord Tullison. And there's his garrison, and then his mountaineers, and then his men at arms. And at the moment, he has like a garrison at his castle, and your men at arms at Joston, and then the rest of his host going into the mountains. But it seems, from what Warren wants to say, like kind of agreeing with your line of thinking, to hold all of those troops in reserve at Joston or Mountains Reach, and then wait for time, and then go the Mountaineers as a van or scout to track their host up into the hills.
And wait for the attack that might be coming?
Yeah. Warren is happy to sacrifice 3 days of the chase in case the goat girl wasn't lying.
Yeah, it seems sort of in keeping with what we know about their tribal ways if he's sworn to come and fight us.
So
yeah, that seems good to Willem. A lot better than charging into the mountains.
Mathers and his mountaineers, and you and your 100 archers at Joston, and the rest of Tullison host kept at Mountains Reach for now.
How far away are the 2? Mountains Reach and...
Not so far. I'd think less than a day's ride. Like, you can walk from one to the other in a day.
Okay. And can they send ravens to each, from one to the other?
Not from Joston to Mountains Reach. From Mountains Reach on. Need to have a rookery to receive a raven.
Yeah. Just wonder because either could be attacked.
From what the goat girl had said, the force of the black goats was hundreds.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would, if you're thinking that she's telling the truth, then you would plan for at least 200, right?
I would think so, yeah, or more. But they're well fortified places, right? Castle is at least.
Mountains Reach, there's no way, even with 900 mountain men, that they could take Mountains Reach at the moment. It's got 400 men in it, 300 men holding it, and it's a proper castle.
Yeah. Okay. What about what Joston is it called?
Joston is like a vassal town or village that yields up to Mountains Reach, and it's by the Joston River.
Yeah.
Which runs out of Mountains Reach and down into the Trident.
Okay. Seems like a better target for raiders. How many men have we got there? That's where we are?
200. 100 of your archers and 100 mountaineers under Mathis Warren, but given what that you'd interjected, then Lord Tullison had asked for how you might wish the forces to be arrayed.
Yeah, I'd think that you don't need as many in the castle. I'd prefer to have more securing the town.
So your 100 men at arms, your 100 archers, and 100 men under Mathers?
Yeah, I guess if that's all they want to put there.
That'd leave 100 garrison and 100 men at arms to hold Mountains Reach.
Yeah, which is surely going to be able to hold long enough to get word to us, at least. Yeah, okay. That seems good. I can't get word from while I'm at Joston though from Ronald.
Only by rider.
Well, I guess I will have set someone to await any ravens that come for me to bring it to Joston. Yeah.
Lord Tullison seems slightly crestfallen, but accepting and believing in the plan as it stands, and he'll give the orders to do so. And he'll say, there is no word from the Maester about your sister, nor ravens from your brother. But I'm sure soon both will be heard and favorably to us. Let us prepare, and if the goats do not come in 3 days' time, we shall march out and seek to rout them out until extend a hand of friendship and sealing.
Yeah, I'll take his hand.
He'll go to speak further, but at that point, there's like a sound outside, and the door is thrown open, and one of the men, garbed in the tabardry of Mountain's Reach, will say, "My lords," and then he'll look to you and go into your presence and the lords directly and say, "Your sister, she is awakened in the Maester's Tower. We were sent to call for you."
Is she well?
She lives and was speaking. I believe she took food. My lord, I did not see more. I was sent at once.
Very good. Thank you. I must go to her, I say, turning to Taliesin.
100 paces down the cleared hedgerow, you can see a straw man painted dark grey with bright yellow hammer on his chest, and an arrow takes him at the left nipple, and then another nearby to the belly button, and like ladies of the Grell Court like clapping, and a few like men in their like long robes and fine raiment look nodding to each other favorably at the shot as the archer goes to take another arrow. And seated next to the two of you, Oster and Ronald, is Lord Desmond Grell, and his younger sister with a bunch of her handmaidens and lesser ladies are at a table laughing, chatting, and clapping every time like a butt is struck. And Lord Damon will cry, "Well struck, Alec!" And the archer named Alec will look up and give a bow to his liege and take another arrow. You can see other men are at the lists are at the butts, training and showing off their prowess. And Damon will look to you, the two of you, and say, "I trust you slept well, my lords."
I look to Ronald. Yes.
Very well, thank you.
You know, my uncle Desmore is castellan at River Run. He holds 1,000 archers as garrison that hold fast. Grell men know their way about a longbow, sir. And yeah, it's true. His archers are fine to behold. Their steady measure and discipline and training makes them superior to your own archers, though archers mean little when knights ride through them. But the man doesn't lie, and his pride bordering on arrogance for the men is not unfounded. As another takes the neck of the straw man, and Lady Grell will lead her ladies in.
Yes, indeed, I've heard it said that the Grell men are famed archers. And clearly that's so.
I would wager that any lord outside the Riverlands who would wish to come against the Rivermen would not break an army composed of my fine archers and your swan knights, sir.
I think that a likely situation. Our knights are some of the finest in the land. At least I think so.
My good sister Marion was grieved to hear word of your betrothal to Lady Eve Taliesin. I'm sure you must be well aware of the many maidens' hearts you've broken in that regard.
Yeah, he like gives an easy smile and thinks back to like the servant girl with the nice bum yesterday, and then the previous night before that, and like just stretching into infinity. Like, I suppose, yes, I'm eligible.
I had hoped to garner an alliance between our houses at your father's feast, your father's funeral feast. God's rest him. Now, given stricken with these troubles, your friendship would seem even more valuable now than I'd thought it to be when last we feasted at Swan Song. And congratulate your ascendants, my lord. He'll lean past the Premier Lord to to his bannermen.
I nod. Thank you, Lord.
My own sister Marion has passed her 16th name day, and nags me as she nagged our father to be wed to a lord, not small in valour and of piety. I know the Grails are pious men, and who can disparage your efforts, my lord, to raise yourself up so high? I'll say to you, Oster, and I don't know, Oster probably does as well, but Ronald definitely hears the subtle feels the subtle spotlight of that.
Yeah, I would look to Oster to see what he thinks about it.
My Lord has been gracious in rewarding my efforts, all in the service of House Grail.
I say it plain, my lords, that I think it would be well that my sister should be wed to your family. If it cannot be to you, my lord, then to one cast of the same Grail mould.
That is,
If we cannot have the red swan or the blue, we shall have the black one, if it means there is a strength marriage between us. If it's true that you wish peace, then marry your strength to mine. Lord Dulver cannot persist with these futile endeavours if he wishes to contend with the strength of Grell Castle and of Swan Song.
House Grail will not be going to war in the realm.
Nor would it need to. It is said that you have 400 men at your command, and you think inside, more than that.
Yeah.
And he says, married to my own force, what could Dulver do? Even if other houses might join to his cause, they could never assault our holdfasts with our armies in the field.
What if we approach this in a different direction? And if this can be settled, this grudge, this issue between you and House Dulver, and it can be done peaceably, then I will give my blessing, though it is Oster's decision.
you give me much honor, Lord. Let us prove ourselves. Prove my worth to your sister and to your house. And the solving of this matter.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, we have discussed it. We do not want open war. And though you say you do not think it will come to that. We are unsure of this Dugan the Red, and where his allegiances lie.
It is not enough for me personally to stop this war from happening simply by deterring through fear. I understand that is how most of this works. The reason we obey the king is because he is the king, but also because he controls the largest amount of men. This is not a surprise to any of us. But this feud, yes, maybe it will be the case that he will not be able to stand against us. I don't think he could stand against House Grail at the moment. That's not really the issue. There is a grudge here, and grudges make men do dishonorable things. And so while he may not assault your castle, and you may not assault his, there are other ways to engage in war.
I will not stoop to arming brigands to do my war's work for me, sir. And then you hear another, as another arrow strikes the butt, and Lady Grell gives a little, and all of the little handmaidens chirp and clap as well.
We'd never think you would, my lord, but...
Then what do you propose, sirs?
Well, you'll work with us to find a solution that is peaceable and good for everyone involved. And if that conclusion is reached, then marriage and alliance.
Very well. Then I propose that you take my terms to Lord Dolver. Let him hear them with the thunder of your voice as well, joined to mine own. And if he will make the reparations and give apology for his insult, I will forgive and forget this matter. We shall all of us move forward allied.
We also wish to disperse our men amongst areas you think this Dugan the Red may strike next.
We will not
Casting.
strike where we have forces spread, sir. I have tried that.
And there is too much land to cover.
We have coast and hinterland and the rivery marshes at the edge of Lord Bracken's lands. Much a swathe to contend with governing, whilst I must worry at the threat to my western border and the Dolvers.
Have you an
Lord-
idea of where he is? Where his holdfast is?
It would not be a holdfast in my lands, or I would know of it. But the marshes and woodlands can hide much and more. And ever Durain's forest sprawls out of the Trident, and there are so many places that a man might hide in this domain. I cannot govern it all whilst I have to marshal my strength in preparation for an attack from Dolver.
Has this Dugan struck Lord Bracken?
I do not know. I have not spoken with Lord Bracken. With our horses' strength aligned to each other, we could mount a foray with our extra strength into the wilder places and root out this brigand knight and his men. Hang them all, I say.
There is great danger in approaching bandits on their home. This is something we have learned personally. In the woods and in marshes and in mountains is where they are best. A flat field is where we are best. And they want us to fight them there. My knights cannot charge through a forest, and your archers cannot shoot through one.
My father and uncle both always believed that the best way to keep broken men at bay from your holdfast was to stock them with archers. If I had 100 or more men, then it would be of little value for this crimson brigand to strike at me, how many feathers he would gain in the bargain.
But you
But to
cannot
empty
be...
my holdfast would be folly, given these provocations from Dolver. A surprise attack with the heart of my strength at my boundaries would see me lose this ancient holdfast and the blood of my line extinguished.
Then what if we meet? If I can guarantee that it is peaceable, you will meet with him and he will meet with you, and he will swear that no such thing will happen, and you will have time to find Dugan and deal with him. And we will send our men with you to assist.
An honourable suggestion, my lord, as you hear another arrow fly in the distance. But I fear that the old man will not dishonour himself to come to my hall to speak, and I will not go to his to suffer his barbs and insults.
Perhaps a field of mutual meeting? A place?
I could consent to that. I think the old man might, but he would be wary of some trap, no doubt, and bring much of his strength, which would require me to do the same. I guess then, if we cannot broker a peace between us, we might meet upon that neutral field and sow it.
Yes. Well, we'll have to look into it. I think that must be a place that we can meet that is peaceable. I think for now, if we can focus our efforts on finding Dugan and seeing where he is, at least if we have an idea, it might help. In the meantime, we'll speak with Dover.
You would have my thanks. If there's any service I might do you, then you needs only ask, my lord. And I will remember your words well, if this can be done peaceably. I would look forward to an engagement between our houses. And he looks to his sister and then to your brother.
Yes. Well, let's see if it can be done peaceably.
Yeah, another arrow flies, and this time Grell leads all the rest of the little Grell birds in their chirping. And your own men will be unhappy of the order, I guess, to leave this fine place to go back to Dolver's itchy, cold hospitality. But none will complain to your hearing, and before afternoon approaches, you can ride out of Grell Castle, equipped and supplied to journey back through the hinterland and into the lee of the Golden Mountains.
Did we release men to join Dugan's band? Is that? I think we're waiting for them to give us word or send him a word to meet somewhere.
Okay, so I think if a day or more's gone by from that, you wouldn't have you wouldn't know. It would just be kind of like you've taken a gamble and you just don't know what's happened yet.
Okay, that's fine. I would say to Ronald, we should write to Lord Bracken. If he has not suffered banditry, then it is clear that this is targeted. A bandit will seek its easiest target. It would be unlikely that Bracken would leave. Would have easy, soft targets for a bandit.
Agreed. Perhaps send a raven.
I would do so at once.
Yeah. So that night you'd send that day you'd send a raven and receive another before you leave that place. And Lord Bracken would speak of no worries or troubles with brigands at his northern border, which is his one with Grell. Though thinks that if there is any trouble about near his lands, that it's certainly the work of the Lord of Raventree Hall, of their own rivalry. But yeah, he doesn't give any indication of brigandry in his land. So maybe while you're riding away from Grell's lands into its Dolvers, that would be brought to mind.
Mm.
One step closer.
I guess I would ask, when we have a moment, Oster, do you want to marry this woman?
Does it benefit our house? I think about what an alliance would mean between what would we gain?
You'd gain you would have an allied body on the other side of House Viprin from your border. You would flank House Viprin. You would also get more legitimacy to your own noble name, being bastard risen up to marry noble blood gives your line more credence. It also means that if there's regional war, then their forces are a part of yours and vice versa.
Yeah.
They have connections to River Run via the Castellan Desmore, who's the uncle of Lord Daemon.
Yeah, I considered that. That's nice.
The detriments are seeming to be that she's young, naive, and very courtly and what's the word?
Superficial.
Superficial, yeah.
She'll enjoy her life in Port Merrill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's pros and cons, but there certainly are pros. There's pros for him as well, right? Who's going to fuck with him if he has the Grail army at his back?
Yes.
Just wondering if we want marriage alliances. They're so precious. So
yeah. Do we want to shop around?
A little shopping around, man. Yeah, absolutely.
As far as shopping around goes, this is the first that Oster's been given, which
it's harder because
right?
Yeah,
he's a bastard.
Exactly. So many houses will just straight up refuse for that reason.
Yeah, you can imagine this dude would have refused too, except for right now he needs it,
I would refuse
Oh,
it too.
I'd never
there's no
marry my
way.
sister to a bastard. But
Yeah.
like with this, with war looming, yeah, I'll do it if it means our house can survive.
Yeah, like Ronald wouldn't do it either. I don't think.
So, well, yeah,
he-
because
he
you're a
has-
strong military house, but
Yeah.
a weak military house, but then
Yeah.
has strong like mercantile house. That seems to be the best kind of marriage.
Yeah, that's true. Someone who makes a lot of money would be good.
To really like, we could cause problems that we then solve.
Hmm.
Indeed.
And what of House Dolver? Where does that fit in the pros and cons in all this?
Well, I think Damon, and you guys would get the impression that he's not being deluded or like hopeful when he says that a marriage alliance of like military strength between your two houses would surely mean that Dolver would not pursue provocations further, right? It'd be suicide at that
Yeah.
point for him.
Well, then,
Like before your guys' intervention, it's kind of like a coin toss to see who would win a pitched battle between those two. But with your team combined, it's no question.
maybe that's it then.
That's sound logic. But yeah, obviously, he, like many players in this game, are acting with like questionable intel and sometimes misleading intel.
Hmm.
Yeah, then we need to find Dugan as quickly as possible.
Yeah. If we can find him, we can really sort this out as quickly as possible. I think if we can try and get the other two to just talk, and if we're there, like, Ronald has the ability to just, like, tell Lord Dolver to shut up, you know? Like,
Not if he has Tywin's like blessing.
yeah, but we don't know that. But like if they're arguing and he's being an arsehole, like I can, because I'm in the middle, can be like, all right, give it a fucking rest. You know, like arbitrating by the guy who has 500 soldiers. You know.
True.
If Damon had his initial way and say Walton accepted trial by combat on behalf of his father, in that situation, if Oster were already to be married to Lady Marion, and then Damon Grell were to die, Oster would inherit Castle Grell.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
right.
That's the
If-
play, man.
That's what Willard would be doing.
That's the
Okay,
play.
but the other way,
Yeah.
the other way it works is if they fight and Damon slays Walton, Horace, called Black Thumb, who's supposedly a shit ruler, becomes heir, and House Dolver's weakened even further. Like they're losing their best warrior, their knight commander. That you know,
Yeah.
like they're losing to Jaime Lannister. So in that, if it's a trial by combat situation that goes against Grell, if it goes for Grell and Walton dies in it, legally the matter's kind of settled, like spiritually and legally. Dolver will like lose from that, and then the future of their house becomes so much more precarious because it's a shitty heir. That would probably stymie these provocations, you would imagine.
So, which of the parties was reluctant for the trial by combat? It was old mate Dolver, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dolver wouldn't
Because
accept
he was like,
to
I'm
fight
He's old.
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's currently
but he
like out of
could
favor with his
name a
son. But
champion.
if they could be repaired, then he might accept his son fighting for him.
Yeah.
Then we just have to
This
figure
is
out
amazing.
a way to make sure Grell loses, like mess with his equipment or begin giving him a slow acting poison. Or
Yeah.
To do this in a trial by combat is literally like the last choice you can make in Star Wars. Like, am I going light side or dark side? If you
Oh,
do
yeah.
this, you
Yeah.
have gone like it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
you have gone dark side. If you're going to poison a man in a trial by combat,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
well
sacrilegious.
played to you. Like, I'll give
Yeah.
you the nod of my cap for sure, but just so you know.
No, I don't. I think
Just-
Ronald thinks trials by
Willingly.
combat are sacred.
Yeah.
What's Damon's reputation as a warrior? I mean, we already know
He's a better
Dolber's.
longbowman than a warrior. He's distinguished himself. I think I sent you that information. Like he's been at tourneys and stuff, but he I think Ronald has technically fought in battles now, hasn't he? I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe not. But Grell hasn't actually fought in pitched battles yet, but he's done well at the archery and tourney lists.
We
Which is
need
exactly
to
the same as
go.
Walton, right? Like Walton's just fought in the joust.
So our ideal situation series of events looks like we find Dolver, Dugan. You get married.
Mhm.
then we cause
Works.
the arbitration to go badly and push it to a trial by combat.
I
And-
think that's easy with
It's so
Dover's son. We have the letters. We have.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even know about banditry.
Yeah,
I mean, we could just like, for the honor of your house, man, you need
Yeah.
to.
I think
Do
I could
this.
talk him into it as well. And then he has to kill Grell, and then you inherit this house.
Sweet.
Ronald won't know that. He won't come up with that, so you have to.
Even if you're playing those ill, so let's say it goes the other way and Damon kills Walton, you're still allied to a house that's stronger than its nemesis, who you've been kind of told by your lord to quell. So it's not done, but it's still helpful in a way. Like there's some positives out of
Like,
it going badly.
Initially, we were happy just to get the alliance. I guess it was still worthwhile without absorbing this house. Do we border this house? No.
No, House Viperin is between you and this house.
Okay. I'll have to eat them next.
Yep. Okay.
Cannibalizing the Riverlands. One
Lord Viperin brought his sister to offer in marriage to you at your father's funeral feast, but you had to rebuff him because you were already betrothed.
Yeah,
Maybe-
betrothed to Tullus' son.
Yep.
Well, they may be wiped out by 1,000 mountain men. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, legitimately the best currency to have in Game of Thrones is like young heirs. It's like worth more than any gold.
Absolutely.
You know? Like,
Yep,
So, yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the legal golden ticket.
Yeah.
You can do. It's like so you can do so much with it. It's like
Mhm.
a card you play in a board game, and every other player has to acknowledge whatever it does.
Yeah, and they'll go, fucking hell,
Lions.
what? Like,
What about
Yeah.
Jess? We could still marry Jess to someone.
she's
She's
a
scarred
bastard,
up
though.
now, man. And she's scarred. Fucked
She's
up.
a scarred bastard.
Yeah,
but she has
tomboy.
land, I guess.
Meet my sister
Yeah.
and her shadow cat.
Like, if, I don't think she's particularly eligible to like marry a lord, or that she'd
She
want
has
to
not.
either. I think is the other thing. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
like it's all kind of fine and dandy. I think when they're like NPC pieces. I mean, it's not fine and dandy, but it's not the same way as like Jess, who has like had such a free spirit all this time, to then be like, and now we're selling you so we can make an alliance. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not really the
Which
same.
I mean,
This-
which was always sort of at the
Yeah.
end of the table for
Mm.
for her as a character. But I mean, some of the dynamics have changed now with a wound and the shadow cat
Yeah.
and everything like that. Yeah, and yeah, she certainly wouldn't want to. I kind of see her as not really interested in. Like, she's not sexual at all or anything like that. I don't think she finds people attractive. I think she's kind of
Asexual. Mm.
Yeah, I think
They
she's
help
a-
us if you could marry an Essos slave lord, especially one that demands
Yeah,
a bunch of
totally.
unsolid. Because you could certainly use those over on this side.
Boy.
But she's super. She'll do what she needs to do, as you guys would all know in character. So she wouldn't. Well, I mean, yeah, that'd be a conversation. you wouldn't put it past her, maybe running away.
Should we go to Dover now then? Or should we just try to, I don't know, we'll just be riding blindly into kind of Grell lands looking for Dugan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like a search pattern is going to work here. Like, we need to acquire him by fake deserting. I think is like the only way that we can really do that. Like if we have two of our knights like sort of go from here to a tavern somewhere and like deliberately start some trouble, steal something, right, and then whatever. I mean, they'll figure it out, but like sort of that sort of plan where they can cause trouble, get themselves recognized as like brigands, and then join the brigand group, and then steal away one night and tell us where they are and how many and that sort of stuff would be the long-term plan, but that might take weeks, you know?
If Maester Falston is behind this, like behind the scenes, maybe we should reveal the fact that we have like all these like objecting letters and the fact that Dugan is in play in front of Sir Dolver, and see what like his reaction to that is. He may like, I don't know, imprison Fulston and take him as a like remove him as a player, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. I feel like he's like whispering in the Lord's ear and like kind of has him, or maybe not. I don't know if that's the kind of rapport they have, or if he's just kind of interpreting.
Maybe we should try and get him aside.
The Sir Dolver or Fulston?
The Maester.
And what, accuse him, like not make accusations, but say like, hey, here's his letters, what's up with it?
Yeah, sort of a leer over him, you know? And you can do the talking,
Nice.
and I'll sort of just like stand over him, sort of like, yeah, I'm that guy that has the nickname about murder, you know? And maybe maybe Maesters think they're invincible because you're not supposed to kill Maesters, but I think if I shove him, he'll get the impression, you know? I don't know. Like, it might not come to that. We can just sit him down and like do the sort of heavily implied threat thing and find out what's going on.
Oh yeah, everything may come spilling out then, or not. I don't know. We'll see how far his loyalties go. Yeah, perhaps that'll work.
So you ride back then through Grell lands and into Dolver once, and back to the lair of the prickly lord.
Yeah, and we'll set those two guys on that mission as well, Nico. The two knights. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll give over their stuff and bits and trinkets and things to their mates and fellows in the company, and then those two men, best set to it, will soon disappear, and their future's uncertain. And you banish those thoughts when you come into the presence of the Lord, and of course he's there served by his maester, his shadow, and a couple of his turnip guards. Similarly to how Grell was, he's drilling men in his yards and making a show of force. And there are men upon his ramparts and youths in squares training with staves, and people bearing carts of ore and slag to and from like the craggy mines nearby. And Lord Dolver there in his long black mixed coat with copper trimming and a leather cap over his head, his poxy long nose jutted out from it, his beady little eagle eyes. He surveys you again. You have come back. Am I to feed 100 men again, and all their horses with me fodder too?
That's usually how hospitality works, Lord Dolver, yes. I'll say with like a grin.
He'll wave his hand, and a man will descend down the steps and bring up a bowl of salt and bread. And he'll say, I smell perfume upon you. Have you been to Castle Grell and heard the mewling of that youth?
Yes. Such terrible mewling. I might speak with you about it.
Come then. It is your right as a lord. Your men will, and then you can do the whole, yeah, I know, they have to go to the village
Yeah.
type thing. And you can follow his traipsing black and copper cloak as it disappears inside his feast hall. You and Oster and whoever else you choose.
Yeah, I'll just follow.
Very well, my lord of swans. You have my bread and you have my salt, but I cannot swear to all of my patience.
Well, there have been some strong accusations made. Have you done anything particularly terrible, Lord Dolver? Have you caused a lot of harm in his lands?
Of course not, though I will. Be careful of yourself, young swan. Are you implying you think me capable of treachery?
We're just hearing rumors.
There are
Lord,
rumors.
just rumors.
That's all they are, the lies of a child.
Brigands
I've
were
done
found.
nothing to deserve this.
Who is that name? Dugan the Red? And I look right at the Lord as like to see any recognition.
You guys can both roll perception.
Oh boy.
Oh, baby. 17. All up.
I will do a 20. 16 plus.
So yeah, Ronald, you look at both of them, maybe having like rehearsed this or spoken about it before with Oster, and
Mhm.
you see no sign of any recognition on either man's face at this talk, and that probably just makes you go all the more like, oh fuck, if they're not doing like
Yeah.
Dugan, who is kind of thing. But Oster for a 20, you equal, and you're the aggressor, so that means you succeed. You equal Maester Falston's attempt to like control his face and not give a tell away that voice kind of
Motherfucker.
summons his skill. Yeah, he got a 20 all up, man. So
Sorry, I thought it was
Yep.
muted there.
I do not know this Dugan the Red. Perhaps he is some bastard I sired. I cannot say.
Probably just
And he'll
more
turn to
rumors
his
then.
maester, and his maester will go, "No such recollection, my lord."
But it's strange because, and I explained to Lord Grell that it was probably someone trying to put the blame on you, but a great many bandits were found with, well, weapons from your house. Now, a similar thing had happened to us previously, and so I thought it likely wasn't you. And I tried to calm him of that fact and disavow him of it. But nonetheless, someone is working against you.
Is that young whelp claiming that I've taken honest Dolver steel and put it into the hands of ungodly men? And he'll like awkwardly rise up from his blackwood chair at that.
Don't know enough to make that claim, Lord. All we know is that there's someone acting with your steel. That is it. To what end? We have no idea. They'll know that war is not good for anyone.
This insolence I cannot suffer. He still refuses to meet me in honest combat, then?
He does not.
No, he'll meet you.
Then we should fight. I have sent him ravens requesting such. He thinks me too old to wield a sword. I'll knock some sense into the boy's head. I might take his young sister as my new wife, too.
Perhaps so. I will say that your son is an excellent warrior and a shining example of chivalry, and that if I was in your position, I would have him fight for me.
Are you saying I'm too old to do my warring for me, boy?
Candidly, Lord, yes, I am.
Ah, there you have it, he'll say to a couple of his servants and the guards. A man who, with balls enough to speak truth in a lord's hall. And mayhaps I would ask him if I think he might say anything to me, but he will not. He is taken from pious bleating to somber silence. He is as the stranger to me. He and that damned Septon.
He's your son,
With all-
Lord, and he seeks your approval. He seeks peace for your house and success. And if you can reach out to him and allow him this to save the honor of your house, I am certain that it will undo the harm that's happened here.
It settled two things, my lord. This problem with Grell and the rift between you and your son. An opportunity to mend both.
Walton spoke highly of you when he met you in the lists at the prince's name day tourney. If your goodwill is earnest and true, perhaps you can use it to turn his mind to his house rather than to the Seven. If you can convince him to fight for me and deal that Grell a reckoning, you shall have my friendship.
Aye, Lord. Well, we'll see what we can do. Oster, didn't you want to have a word with the Maester about the deal?
Indeed, yes. Join me, Lord. there was something also. So I like screech and like move quickly over to like cut him off.
Intercept him. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Because he was going to go and try and go with his lord.
Yeah.
And his lord's kind of just as dismissive of Falston as he is to you guys. He's kind of like South Park. He's not like, he doesn't hate Ronald. Like, he just hates everyone. Like,
Yeah,
and he's not trying
yeah.
to specifically be rude to any one person. He just is a cunt.
Yeah, he's awful.
But you can intercept the Maester while you, Ronald, go off to seek out the sun.
No, I'll stay to
Oh,
hassle
sorry.
the Maester as well.
Okay.
I just want to be physically present. I don't really want to say much, but I just want the implied threat of like a man of my size, you know?
Yeah, the Lord will like groan and go off to some other duty, and then the Maester will say, "How may I be of service, my lords?"
Have a seat, Maester. And I'll sit. And then look to Oster.
He'll jangle into the chair.
So we have heard many things during our trip to Grell Lands. Many things about banditry and this Dugan the Red. Are you sure you do not recognize the name?
I think not, sir. Mayhaps if you asked about the small folk, they may know such. Those furthest from nobility often acquaint with the dregs of our society.
And did you not say you penned letters to their maester saying to settle this matter in a peaceful manner?
Indeed. As my lord commanded, I sent ravens.
Is this yours? And I like pull out a letter. Is this not your signature, my lord? Or maester?
This is the Lord's seal, but written in mine hand, as is my duty.
Why does it say that you will not? Don't the letters say this?
Yeah, he will just look at it for a time, and you can roll another perception check, Oster. You can't, Lloyd, because you don't know he's dodgy, even though you know he's dodgy.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, you can see that he, like, the moment for honesty passes, like there's that micro couple of seconds too long where it goes from like just recovering the truth from your memory banks and giving it over to fishing for a lie to come out and make sense. And the lie does make sense when he gives it, but you can tell that it's a lie because of the tell. And he says, "Oh, this letter was sent by my lord's command after negotiations had soured and broken down to the point they currently are, my lord." So he's lying about the chronology of that particular letter to hide the fact that it's him writing it to provoke. And you know that, but no one else knows that. And he doesn't even know that you know that.
Do you think your lord will share the same as you, Maester? Perhaps you should just drop this pretense.
How dare you, sir? I am a maester of the Citadel. I will not be spoken to by some bastard lord in this way. What is this, Lord Grail? And he looks to you, Ronald, for some explanation.
I will look at him with the face of
Murder?
yeah, and I will say to him, "This man is a lord, and if you utter his name as a bastard again, I will strike you."
If you had umbrage at these commands, my lord, then speak to the commander. I am but my lord's servant. For fear of receiving your strife and violence, I will speak no further, and he'll stand.
I will also stand, and I will reach across the table and put my hand on his shoulder and shove him back down into the chair. Then I will sit back down.
Roll athletics.
Yes, my lord.
Can I move to aid?
No, this is not like coordinated. Oh, I guess it is coordinated. We'll see if he needs the advantage though, because this guy only got a 9.
Oh,
You'll
no,
gain it.
not even nearly. I'm at like 16 on the die plus whatever my character sheet is, which is like 4 or 5.
He'll go to cry out at this till you thrust your face into his and silence him for a moment.
I don't know everything about you, Maester, but Oster can smell a lie. It's a gift. And I know that he has smelled one of your lies. And your attempt to flee so quickly. Well. You'll sit and you'll explain. Because it seems to me that there has been some actions against your lord's best interest. In some places, they call that treason.
My lord wishes war with his neighbor, and he commands him to send me to send him his mind. If I do so, that is no treason, sir. Were I to do other than what he bids me, that would be treason.
Do you not serve the realm also?
Maesters
that-
are sworn to their houses, not to king.
And houses are,
Except-
and lords are sworn to kings.
Yes,
And Robert has commanded peace.
and Lord Dulver owes it to him.
Have you mentioned the thing already about Dugan, Oster?
About like,
The Maester recognized
Oh.
the name.
oh no, I haven't. I say, you have hired a brigand to carry out your lord's commands.
How dare you, sir? How dare you utter such? I'm Maester sworn and chained. I do not
And I
pervade
at that
with brigands.
I pull out like my maester chains and I'm like holding him in my hand. I have walked the halls you have walked. I have read the books you have read. Do not lie to me. Is he lying?
Roll insight.
19.
He's a liar, but he's not lying.
You may not have hired him directly. There's something going on. What have you done to cause this war? What are your actions? Have you just stoked this strife through ravens? Or have you taken more direct actions?
My lord has commanded me to send his word to his enemies, and I have done so. If you have umbrage at the words, then speak to the bearer of those words. I am just the messenger, my lord.
The bandit lord was found, and all of his troops found with a great many blades from House Dulver. Dozens.
My lord did have a wain inbound to span back from Fairmarket, carrying weapons and tools. It is long overdue. Now we see its fate. Perhaps it was taken by these brigands and they arm themselves. Tell me, is the smith to be guilty too, if it is his blade which kills a man?
How do you know this man then?
He claims to not know this Dugan the Red.
It's clear that you know more on this matter. Speak of it.
I swear it by the seven, I do not.
He's still lying on this matter, right?
Well, you believe so because you found him lying about it earlier and get the innate sense he is a liar. So you would think he is. Like whether he is or not at this point, you think he is.
I'm wondering what the Lord's son would have. Perhaps we should go see him now. Will he be as charitable?
Lying is a great sin, and the Lord's son is extremely pious. The Lord himself has a short temper,
So Walton is a pious man, and he will defend my honor against these insinuations. Now I shall stand, sir, or I will call for the guards at your mistreatment of me. My lord shall hear of this.
Yeah, I'll look to Oster. Like, should I keep him here?
Uh, oh man, I don't think we can do anything. We have
So
to.
Ted, Dolver might love the excuse to just imprison you and kill those 50 knights for this
Yeah.
treason in his yard while he's got his 300 men here,
Yeah, he'd love that.
mocking you while you're in his dungeon. Oh god.
I think we should. We need to like speak to. We need to get initiative. Which we need to bring his son into it. Maybe if you'd hold him here while I get his son. I don't know, but you don't want to like. Oh shit.
It's pretty bad to like put hands on a maester just generally, I think, you know?
Yeah, I would probably know that. So I'd say
Yeah.
go, Maester, and perhaps you are truthful in this. We will see.
Mark my words, you shall answer to my lords for this. And he'll like write his collar where you'd like roughed him, Lloyd, and his chain will jangle as he does that, and then he'll go off like with an angry swiftness.
I think you need to seek out Lord Dolver. I'm sure he's probably heading that way, and I'll find his son.
Aye. I'll stand and pull out the chair, and I'll begin to walk to try and find Lord Dolver. I don't know where he's gone. I guess to his chambers, so I can't really walk there. I don't think it would be improper, right?
No, but he doesn't go to his chambers. He'll go to like survey his men and stuff. If it's your intent to follow the Lord, then you'd spend some time away from Oster, following him about his like duties and surveys, and after a time get the sense that the Maester is not with him. Oster, you go out past the yard down to the fields where you can see cavalrymen riding at tawny men, and find Sir Walton amongst them. By night he's at the Sept, but by day he trains in the knightly arts, whether that's poetry, bowry, or with the lance and steed. And he'll like ride up to you and wipe sweat off his brow after he takes his helm off, and he'll smile broadly and say, "My lord, where is your brother? I had seen the swans."
Yes, he is convalescing with your father. We have an urgent matter, my lord. I mean, sir, if you would, follow me.
Yes, what is this about? And he'll put his lance to a squire, and he'll dismount and go over to you. Is he well, Ronald?
He is. Now, you know we have returned from Grail lands, and we're doing our most best to settle this matter peacefully. You know the honor of my brother. He wishes only the best.
Yes, he says, I know it's true. Eh? Flashback to conspiration of getting this guy planted killed. Yes,
yeah, and I like, it's like this way. And as we're walking, I'll be like, yes, we have discovered that there's a bandit acting, presumably under an unknown patron's orders that bear the arms of your house. Now, I know this is not proof of any culpability. We have suffered under such before. But we've also found letters, and I like hand them to him. It's like, did your father not say that he sent word to?
He'll read through them all for a moment, getting more worried with each page, and he'll say, "None of these. My father's been speaking of his entreaties for peace and satisfaction. This, there were no others?"
No. This Maester Falston, he said he sent the letters, but at a time when you guys were at peace. Was there any such a time in your recollection?
Yes, before the debt and the quarrelling, there was peace, of course.
There's not dates on any of these, are there?
No,
Or was there anything like indicating a date, like a time of a season or anything like that?
no, more just like the narrative, like of rising tensions and like upping of insults,
Do you
but not.
I don't know the right of this, sir, but if I'm being blunt, I do not think this your maester is totally truthful with us. I don't know why. You said that he wishes that your father wishes war. Is this true?
Yes, now my father does. That is the root of the trouble between us, for I want peace, the king's peace.
Maybe your maester has made no effort, in an effort to interpret your lord's will, to send him to stave off this calamity.
But what good will it do anyway if Grell is set on warring with us?
They wish to seek peace. They wish to, and they wish to do so. They'll do so through a trial of combat to settle the matter.
My father is an old man. This Grell shames himself if we were to offer to fight with him. Of course he would best him. My father's best years in the lists are spent. But if he wants to fight Adolva, I will give him one to fight.
I don't know who this bandit is or who he's acting with, but if that to be, then you do your house a great honor. Are we like walking, trying to like
Yeah,
trying to
I would
find...
speak with Falston now, he says, and we should send my word by Raven to to young Lord Grell at once. Let this indeed be settled in light of the Seven, as is proper. Yeah, Lloyd, you can see Lord Dolva up on a parapet looking down on his squares of men training, thinking no doubt of war, but long minutes have gone by now, and if the Maester was telling the truth, he would certainly be at his lord's side by now.
Yeah, so where has he gone? I might grab a couple of my knights and send them along the roads that lead away from here. And if they find a maester, fleeing quickly to apprehend him and take him back. Just in case he's like decided to flee the castle because he's been discovered.
Yep. By the time you do that and then come back to watch the old Lord Dolva, you can see the Maester finally moving up the stairs towards him.
Okay.
Given those minutes that would have gone by.
Yeah, I will then walk up and plan to arrive at the same time or close to the same time as the Maester.
Okay.
I guess like I'd be quicker at getting upstairs and stuff as well, so I might do like the young man, like 3 steps at a time, bound, and like walk past him. I guess shove past him towards Dolver.
Yeah, he won't reproach you, like he'll allow you to, and Dolver will look to you with a sour grimace.
How well do you trust your maester, Lord?
He is sworn to me, as all my men are. I trust him as much as any lord can a man.
Do you think the swearing necessitates that he is truthful?
My lord, this swan knight mishandled me in your very... Silence, you chained fool! Say again, he looks to you.
you think that just because a man has sworn a thing that he is then necessitated to be always honest? And have you not
To a
experienced
degree.
that there are knights who act nothing like knights?
Aye, I've seen them before. Mayhaps I see one before me now.
Yeah, he'll laugh and say, "Your maester is hiding something from you. He knows of this Dugan. He won't tell us why. I tried to get the information from him. He says that there was a shipment of weapons that went missing, which mysteriously ended up in the hands of this Dugan, which has cast a lot of doubt upon your house and has made you seem like the kind of lord who would send brigands into another's lands. While you are many things, Lord Dulver, I don't think you act in such an underhanded manner. I think you are direct, at the very least."
He will round on the maester at this, and he'll say, "Speak. What of this?" And the man will say, "Oh, I know nothing of any Dugan, my lord. This man is a liar." Blah 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 blah. And then he says, "And he simply grabbed the blades, and that's why his men were armed with them, and stole them from your wains." And then the old lord stops for a moment and says, "I said nothing of blades. What is this talk of blades?" And the man kind of gulps, and the eyes go wide as they dart nervously between you and his master.
Yeah, Ronald looks has just the biggest shit-eating grin on his face.
"You jangling bastard. Tell it's true. Have you been arming these brigands to cause discord and strife between me and that up-jump Grell?" "Of course not, my lord." And he kind of takes a step back at that and kind of looks worriedly. And the old man grows menacing, and having no guards nearby him, just you, and still wanting to exercise his own physical authority, he'll reach at his side and draw out a flat-leafed blade. "I would kill you where you stand if you've betrayed me, you treasonous maester." And the old man's face goes hard at that. And the maester says, "No, my lords." And then, as if you're going forward to beseech him and plead, he suddenly goes upright and grabs the man by his shoulders and reefs him forward towards the rampart. And he will try and hurl him off the tower.
What?
Oh!
Oh my god.
12 against 9, he grabs the old man and just holds him back. Oh! And the sword, you man! Ching, ching! And the man's body just down onto the flagstone below, and he turns on you quick as lightning, pulls out a penknife that glistens in the sunlight. Roll initiative, Lloyd.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
16.
You go first. Draws the blade. You can still hear the "oh" of old Dulver.
I am so stunned at this. Oh my god. I don't know if I walk around with this. Oh, I'm a lord. I have a sword still, right?
Yeah, you're able to. You're
Yeah.
allowed to talk to another lord while wearing a sword.
Yeah, so I'll draw my sword, and I'll grab the chain, and I'll smash my head into his face. Sorry, I'm just getting my because I didn't need it up till now. Okay, yeah. So I'll basically try and break his nose with a headbutt. That'll be 16.
That hits.
Okay. Yep. So I'll smash my head into his face, and that'll be. It's just going to be 1 plus strength, right? So 5 damage.
Yeah, it breaks his nose, his eyes water, and blood sprays down his face, over his stubbled chin.
Yep, that's it for me.
He takes the blade and tries to drive it into your belly. And it's going to be a 17 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit me.
Ooh. Make a con save.
Oh,
DC 16.
Jesus.
You saw that.
It's
coming.
only 5 piercing damage.
So, 16 on the die. Thank the gods. What a bastard. Five piercing, you said, yeah?
Yep. And he looks towards you with this face of malice. You probably can't understand why he looks so satisfied. He's smiling through broken teeth and a broken nose and teary eyes, as if he's just impaled you on a lance, because he doesn't know your con saved,
Yeah.
of course. And he says, "You'll die screaming for your mother and shitting water, you Greenlander scum." And it's your turn.
Oh my god.
Oh
What the
my
fuck?
god!
Sick. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna have to kill him. I want to know what he knows. I'm just gonna hack at him with the sword. With Swan Song, our ancestral sword. 15.
That hits.
So that's 7 plus 6, so 13 damage.
That nearly takes his head off at the neck. He sliced through his Adam apple and the back of his spine, and he like falls back over like his folds of his maester's robes, like billowing out of him like squid ink, and the chain jangling kind of like a noose around his neck as great gouts of choking blood begin to drown him, and his teary eyes begin to glaze over as he goes to the drowned god in blood. And as you like step back from the arterial spray of it, and your heart inside your mouth going at all of this, and you can see the maester, like the lord down there dead. Like, what the fuck? Is this a dream? You know? And then you hear it, ding, 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 ding. The 7 bells of the sept are ringing. Willem, you're with Jess, and you've walked down into the courtyard below the rookery at Mountain's Reach when the young lord comes to you, his face grave and stern, and his waddling maester behind him, and 2 pages and a guard with a halberd and visored helm. And he'll walk up with no courtesy and will not forgive himself for interrupting you at your speech with each other. And he will simply kind of gather himself up, put his hand backward upon the hilt of his sword and say, "My lord," and then he'll nod to you, Jess. "We are at war. The Warden of the West, his ships, every one of them, burnt at anchor. Balon Greyjoy has crowned himself king of Salton Sea, and the North have risen up against him. Seaguard is besieged, and the West burns. There is no word of your brother." And then screen goes black and says, "Produced by," and then we'll leave it there and see what happens in a fortnight.
Oh, my
Yeah, perfect.
God.
Because Willem's just shocked as yeah. He has no response.
Yeah, I think Jess and Willem just look at each other, and that's where it like fades or cuts off. Like,
Yeah, the Ironborn theme plays.
yes.
That was good, man. It's really good.
Oh my God. So good.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks